The Six Nations, where giants do battle and legends are made. Epic sports which demands an epic voiceover every time. And actually has an interesting story as well. It all started back in 1871 when Scotland beat England in the very first international rugby match. The other home nations were a bit jealous, wanted in on the action, and after England played Wales in 1882, they all decided to hold an annual festival of international rugby, or the Home International Championship, which kicked off a year after. Now, the first decade was dominated by England and Scotland until Wales finally won in 1893 and Ireland a year later. After years of dipping in and out of the championship, France was invited to join full-time in 1910. But because France isn't a home nation, they had to give it a rebrand and settle on the Five Nations. But France were actually kicked out of the tournament in 1931. They were accused of paying players when rugby was still strictly an amateur sport. They had to wait years to be let back in. But after World War II, the Five Nations resumed. Didn't always run smoothly though, like in 1973 when all 5 teams won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. Now, because they didn't do points difference at the time, they just decided that everyone was the champion. It's like trying to keep kids happy, you know, the whole, you're all winners. In the years following, other teams in Europe started to get better at rugby and actually got to a stage where they were regularly beating teams in the Five Nations. In 1997, Italy beat Scotland, France and Ireland home and away. So 2 years later, the Five Nations invited Italy in, creating the Six Nations as we know it. In recent years, there have been calls to expand the tournament further to other European teams. Georgia and Portugal have been prime candidates to join of late. It's also been suggested there could be 2 tiers with promotion and relegation to promote growth of the sport in Europe. But the existing nations are a bit reluctant. So for now, it looks like the Six Nations, or Six Nations, or Sei Nazioni, is here to stay.
Welcome to it. It is Fight Night on talkSPORT on your Saturday evening. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. We've got a guest list full to the brim. In around about half an hour, Sunday Ajayi and Joel Kadua is going to be in the studio for half an hour's worth of chat. Ellie Zorro's going to join them straight after that. And we're also going to be talking a little bit of bare knuckle because we had that streaming live on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel last night. Splattered in between it all, we've got lots to talk about. The WBC convention from Bangkok this week has created headline after headline after headline. We're going to get stuck into all that. What is going on with Alexander Usyk? Is he really going to fight Deontay Wilder? And is Ronda Rousey really coming to the world of boxing to take on Katie Taylor? Plenty to talk about, and you're more than welcome to come and join us. 03717 22 3344. That's the telephone number. Get stuck in. It's Saturday night. It's Fight Night. And as well as all that, we will keep you up to date with what is going on in Monte Carlo at the moment, where Johnny Fisher suffered a little bit of a scare in his comeback fight after his defeat with Dave Allen. He came through, he got the victory, but it was very scary early on. And maybe a fight of the year contender between Conor Walker and Pat McCormack. We'll give you the debrief on everything, including the European title fight, which is still to play out between Masoud and McGrail a little later on in the programme. Mr. A. Davies, you look like you're dressed for Monaco tonight. The waistcoat is out, the beautiful shirt is out. How are you, my man?
I'm very well. It's nice to be back in the studio with you. Like you say, on an incredibly busy time. I mean, I wasn't wearing this shirt last night because I was doing the post-fight interviews at that BKB bare knuckle event.
Bit of claret everywhere, was there?
I've learned before. No, you can never wear the shirt again after doing the post-fight interviews because literally you have to wear a black shirt every time because there is a lot of blood and gore. Brilliant, though.
Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. Yes, very interesting stuff.
Very interesting stuff, especially off the back of the WBC convention, and that's where we'll start. We're going to spend the first half an hour on that because there's so many different stories that have come off the back of it with various fights that have been made for British fighters, one of which in the welterweight division could be getting a world title shot in 2026. We'll talk about that. But we will start with the big news. Quite possibly the best fighter on the planet, Terence Crawford, who recently beat Canelo Alvarez to become yet again undisputed in another weight division, this time at super middleweight. There has been a bit of a discrepancy between him and the WBC, Maurizio Sulaiman, and they have taken the WBC belt off him due to unpaid sanctioning fees. Before me and Gareth get stuck into this, let's have a listen to Bud, shall we? He took to his social media to respond to Maurizio Sulaiman.
What makes you so better than any of the other sanctioned bodies? Huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you? Real belt is the ring belt, which is free. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them.
That in all response this week to Maurizio Sulaiman, I'm sure people have seen the interview that he gave out in Bangkok at the WBC convention, where he obviously explained the reasons as to why they've taken the belt off him due to unpaid sanctioning fees. What have you made of the back and forth between Terence Crawford and the WBC this week?
I think it's very, very interesting. I think that we're reaching a critical point in this where something big is going to come out of it. I mean, just to go into the background, there's no absolute facts with the Nevada State Athletic Commission that Terence Crawford was paid $50 million to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. We were obviously out there covering that fight for talkSPORT and some others. But on the $50 million fee, the background to this is normally there's a sanctioning fee of 3%. They reduced it to 0.6%. It came out as £300,000. They requested from their convention in Bangkok, where they've been for a week and a half, where Usyk is at the moment, and we'll talk about that as well, Alexander Usyk. They put out that he has not paid that sanctioning fee, $300,000, and that they were stripping him of the belt. That was the response to him being stripped of the belt. For me, it was slightly out of character for Terence, even though he's got more into that kind of character as we've seen him grow in confidence. And I agree with you, number one pound for pound in the world. I think he makes a very good point. And the very good point he makes for me is, and it is silly season in boxing at the moment because everybody's being political about things. We know that Turkey Al-Sheikh, Dana White, TKO are one side of this as well, and he's saying that Ring Magazine belt for a reason. He's almost Turkey Al-Sheikh's number one guy at the moment, isn't he? Certainly his tent pole fighter. But I think where I do agree with him, I think he should pay a sanctioning fee, because I don't know if we've got that picture of him flouting the WBC ring. I don't know if Haj, our producer's got it. There was a picture of Terence on the press release anyway, flouting the ring. He's always courted the WBC title. He wanted to be champion of all the belts, but I do agree with him. Why should one sanctioning body be allowed to charge more than another sanctioning body? They should all be brought in line. It should be homogenous, in my view, and there should be a certain fee, and they shouldn't be changing the fees. The fees are used, as they've explained, which we ought to say.
So they say.
For their charities,
so
for the health of other fighters.
It's a tax write-off.
It is I agree with that. It is. It's an income. There's no question it's an income for the company, but I think he's raised something that probably needs further debate.
Yeah, I have zero sympathy for Maurizio Sulaiman and the WBC. I'm in full support of what Terence Crawford's doing. I think sanctioning bodies, for me, they're money-making schemes at the end of the day. I personally, listen, anybody that's listened to any of my stuff going forward, I think we could do without sanctioning bodies. I think we could all move forward with just having one champion, one per division. I know that people will come up to me and say, well, more opportunities when there's more belts and all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if we get boxing right, opportunities will fall for people. If the WBC played along with their own rules all the time, to the letter, I would probably sit here and have a different opinion. But they don't. They make things up as they go along. For example, The Conor Benn scenario, right? He failed a drug test as per the clean boxing program, which is run by the WBC. The WBC provide Ben with an alternative reason to the one that he gave them, because the one that he gave, if it is true, would open up the WBC to litigation of every single fighter that has ever failed a test and served the ban under the clean boxing program. Conor Benn told them that there was a flaw in the testing process. They said that that's nonsense, so therefore they provided him the excuse of eating too many eggs. Conor Benn never came up with that excuse. That was a WBC reasoning. Also, we've seen this week alone the WBC 140-pound champion, Subriel Matias. He's failed a drug test. Instead of cancelling an upcoming fight with Dalton Smith, which is coming up in January, he's been allowed to continue because the WBC don't operate strict liability. In 2019, this is an important part of this story. In 2019, a 28-year-old fighter called Maxime Dadyshev died as a result of injuries sustained in a fight with Subriel Matias. This should be investigated massively off the back of the news of him failing a drug test in recent times. Here's the best one, and this has only happened in the last 2 days. The 126-pound champion, Stephen Fulton, stepping up in weight to fight the 130-pound champion, Ashaki Foster, supposed to be tonight. Fulton misses weight, meaning the world title is not on the line for him. What did he do? They decided to change the weight category. The WBC have changed this now to an interim title fight at 135 pounds, creating a brand spanking new title where they get the sanctioning fees. It's better that they had already... It gets even better, this, because they'd already ordered an interim title fight earlier on in the week between Nunes and Herrera. Remember Dillian Whyte? 1,000 days as the WBC number one, not mandated as the challenger. Manny Pacquiao out for 4 years, called straight back in to be the challenger for the WBC world title against Mario Barrios. Listen, if they upheld their rules all the time, I would have sympathy for them, but they don't. So if they're not going to uphold the rules, why should Terence Crawford?
Listen, I uphold your soapbox opera. I think your points are very well made. They're very valid, and they are, you know, you're putting the pins in the cushion here. There's no doubt about it. I don't disagree with any of that, Adam. They're all points that are very well made. The problem is this has gone on for so long that it's almost accepted within the sport. It's why we deem it the Wild West. It's why things fit the narrative all the time, and it is an issue in the sport. The one that I was about to say about Subriel Matias, who I think I can say you can make an argument that he's got blood on his hands already because an opponent he's had has passed away. And we've always talked about the heinous nature of this, of if someone dies and you've taken a drug, is it a criminal activity or not? Is it a criminal act?
Yeah.
Does it pass over from being not just a heinous act, but a criminal act if you've had banned substances?
Well, you've broken the laws of the game.
Body.
It's no longer a fair sport.
And you have inflicted finality on someone's life. So that I agree with that. I think that's the most salient thing there, but it's the most important thing of all those things. And as you mentioned, with Osterine in his system at the moment, and Eddie Hearn's spoken about this week, they kind of want the fight to go ahead for Dalton Smith. But what happens if Dalton Smith gets damaged irreparably, if he passes away in the ring, and they allow it while Matias has had Osterine in his system? That cannot be right.
The process is there for us all to have. Matias is the champion, right? He fails a test. What you do is you take the belt off him, you allow Dalton Smith to fight Puello for the world title, whilst he clears his name, Matias, and once he's cleared his name, and if he does clear his name, he can come back and fight the winner of that. It's a very simple process, but no, they decide to make it up as they're going along. For me, regarding the Terence Crawford scenario, Terence Crawford does not need any single belt for me or any boxing fan that knows what they're watching to regard him as the number one super middleweight on the planet.
Not now, but he did initially. So
because he was stepping up in weight to fight Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez was the main guy. He beat Alvarez, so therefore now he's the Ring Magazine champion. So
I want to see that. If Harjot, our producer, can bring that picture up with Terence courting the ring. There was a time when he courted the belts. There's a time when every fighter courts the belts to rise as a star and as a divisional. Listen, look, there he is with the WBC belt. The WBC ring, rather. There was a time when he wanted to be the WBC champion when he was...
Well, he wanted to be undisputed.
He wants to be...
He's always followed the WBO route. The only time he's fought for WBC is when he beat Ndongo to be full champion, Spence to be full champion, and Canelo to be full champion. That's the only time he's fought for
from
WBC.
Welter up to super middle.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if there's going to be a paradigm shift in the way they do this, don't court the belts on the way up then. You know, because he's come up from lightweight all the way to super middleweight as a world champion, enjoying reciprocity of being a belted champion.
The adoration of undisputed.
I do think it's broken. I do agree it's broken. I think if there was a way of fixing it, a way of having one champion, which we had in the 50s and 60s, which then broke up in the 70s, really around the heavyweight division, around the Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and George Foreman around that time, and then obviously in the 80s with the WBO, Chris Eubank Senior was the big WBO seller at the time in the early 80s. That's how the WBO came on board. So we have had a fracturing. We've got a new belt coming now, the TKO belt with Dana White, adhered to with Turkey and supported by Turkey. Nick Khan's been talking about it this week because they're trying different things, and we'll come on to the reform of the Muhammad Ali Act, because there's some good things in there, as well as people complaining that you can't be manager and promoter. I've dug into it in the last couple of weeks, and there's some very interesting things in there which protect and defend young fighters and journeyman fighters and young professional fighters. I do think, I agree with you that, I thought we were going to have a big row about this tonight like we normally do, but I do agree that it needs cleaning up, and I think they all need to be homogenous. They all need to have the same rules. They all need to work together in terms of their ranking systems. Because if I pull up now the top 15 in the 4 sanctioning bodies, there aren't 15 fighters there, all in different positions, and the champions. There are about 60 people, and that often comes down to the relationship of the promoter with the head of the sanctioning body, or how long they've been aligned with them. We've got to try and clean up all of that. But the only other thing which you did mention just now is the managers and the promoters, and even a lot of the boxers would say, I would never have been a world champion. I wouldn't have had that big payday had there only been one champion in the division right now. So there are pros and cons, but your dialectic just now, your diatribe, I agree with 90%. It'd be a good time for it to change right now.
I've got one more for you, because we're going to be speaking about Conor Benn being called as the number 1 in the welterweight division, a division that he hasn't fought in for the best part of 4 years. We're going to talk about that next. You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. We're going to get into the boxing chat again in a moment, but there's a bit of breaking news from the world of football. Crookie, welcome to the show, mate. This is not normally your shtick on the old Fight Night, but there's some breaking news in the world of football in and around Mo Salah. What's he been saying?
Yeah, I'm normally listening to you boys as opposed to actually contributing to the show. So nice to join you. You know, it's a big story when football gets in the way of the boxing chat. Another disappointing result for Liverpool tonight. 2-0 up at one stage against Leeds, ended up drawing 3-3. Some more drop points for the champions. I've got to say, I've got a transcript here of what Mo Salah said to reporters as he stopped after the game. And this is explosive stuff. He's basically said that somebody is trying to force him out of the football club. He's talked about the relationship breakdown between him and the manager, Arne Slot. And he has suggested that Liverpool's game against Brighton next weekend at Anfield could be his last for the club, because after that he's off to the African Cup of Nations to play with Egypt. By the time that tournament ends, the transfer window in January will very much be open. We know there's interest from Saudi Arabia. I was looking at that as more towards next summer, but it looks like Mo Salah, very unhappy, left out of the starting lineup, left on the bench again tonight. I'm torn on this, guys, because Mo Salah was absolutely sensational for Liverpool last season. I don't think anybody who watched him on a regular basis could argue that he deserved that big money new contract that he signed. But you look at his form this season, it's completely fallen off a cliff. So I would suggest there's a little bit of a lack of self-awareness here. I don't think he's out the Liverpool team because someone's trying to forcibly remove him from the club. In fact, I know that isn't the case. It's because he hasn't been performing to his best levels. So surely he needs to take some individual responsibility. And Jamie Carragher made the point recently, actually, Liverpool legend, of course. The only time you really hear from Mo Salah is when he's spouting off or he's trying to get himself a new contract. He didn't have to stop and speak to reporters after the game today. In fact, it's very unusual for someone on the bench to do that. So clearly he wanted to make a point. But I would suggest at this moment in time that someone of his stature, one of the senior players in that dressing room at Anfield, should be encouraging everybody to pull together and get Liverpool out of what's become a crisis rather than make such divisive comments.
If Mr. Slot didn't have a tough enough job already, he's now got a bigger one with one of his stars saying all that type of stuff. Crookie, thank you so much, mate, for the update on that. I have no doubt the fallout of that is going to be playing out on talkSPORT over the next 24 hours. Make sure you tune in back into breakfast tomorrow morning as they pick the bones out of what Mohamed Salah has said in the aftermath of their game there with Leeds United. Big news indeed. Listen, even football's doing a bit of fighting, bit of conflict.
I was just saying, I was trying to draw an analogy with boxing, where in boxing, like you're signed to a team. Mo Salah's an extraordinary player, but it just hasn't been going well for him this year. Obviously, I follow it broadly, and he has been the mainstay of the team for so long, and it's not happening at the moment. And when you drop a great, and he is a great, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you drop a great, the ego, the emotion is involved there. I think we have it with fighters sometimes,
massively,
where they suddenly go from medium earners to giant earners, and we are around them, and something does change.
Don't critique them.
Exactly, but something changes in their entourage, the number of people around them, their resonance socially, where they are all the time, and often it's not even self-inflicted. It's just not being able to recognise that maybe you haven't got it anymore.
Fair. That's fair. Listen, that story will play out on talkSPORT over the next 24 hours. Make sure you cross all our social channels as it does. Let's get back into the world of boxing and the WBC convention this week. We've spoken about the Terence Crawford situation. I've no doubt that will be out on our boxing YouTube channel a little later on. One of the other big stories that has come out this week involving a British fighter is the story in and around Conor Benn, who's in attendance tonight in Monte Carlo, I saw.
Indeed.
He has been made the number one with the WBC in the welterweight division, meaning that following the fight between Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia, he's highly likely to be mandated as the next world title challenger at welterweight. Bear in mind, he has not fought at welterweight since April of 2022. A lot has happened since then, of which we're going to pick the bones out of it. But what did you make of that news this week that Conor's been made the number one at welterweight?
Well, we didn't mention it in our first section, which was fascinating to talk about the WBC sanctioning fees, Terence Crawford, his stand for boxers, if you like, that he made this week. We didn't mention one word, which is money.
Mm-hmm.
And money makes the boxing world go round, as it does in all pro sport, but maybe more than any other sport, money talks. Ego, money, timing. And the timing for Conor Benn now, because he's become a crossover star after those 2 fights with Chris Eubank Jr., notwithstanding the 2.5 years, as you say, that we went around the houses with that drugs case, and we went from the front door all the way around the block and back to the front door again without the door really ever being opened.
We never went in.
We know exactly, without the door never really being opened. And now it feels like it's an open and shut case, which is a shame, because really we should have had transparency. Clearly, and Eddie Hearn, you can see he's purporting this way in all his sayings around Conor Benn, trying to position him as the biggest star outside the heavyweights in British boxing right now, alongside the growth of Ben Whittaker, who was horribly overmatched last week, by the way. We didn't have a show, but he was horribly overmatched against his German opponent, even though he did the job and he went in there and finished his opponent very quickly and will go on to be a big star and have big fights. Conor Benn's in a very similar position, but he's already crossed over. The winner of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios is a great fight to sell either here, probably here, because Conor Benn can sell out big arenas and stadiums now, along with fights with Teofimo Lopez, with Devin Haney, and with that phalanx of fighters, maybe Shakur Stevenson, who've already had it out together on the Ariel Helwani show in very entertaining fashion. He's being positioned, and this again is the tacit help and assistance of a sanctioning body to allow the promoter to position their fighter. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
But I'm not saying I don't agree with it in this instance, because you make rightly the point that he's being moved 2 weight divisions. We don't know if he can make welterweight anymore for a start. We don't know if it's. We've talked about Barrios fighting Conor Benn for a while. He was decently ranked in that division anyway. It's a fight that could have happened. It's going to be a big fight, whoever he fights next. He may lose his next 4 fights. He may win one of his next 5, but they'll all be box office fights. He's being positioned by the sanctioning body, the WBC here, again, who we're talking about, and by Eddie Hearn for a big fight in the, I'd say, late spring.
You correctly pointed out that Conor Benn's a name, and therefore he's always going to be an attractive opponent for anybody in this particular division, because he's going to bring money to the table. And I have no problem with that. And I completely understand, again, this is a business, it's not necessarily a sport, and therefore if you can put bums on seats, you're always going to get opportunities. What I do have a problem with is when a sanctioning body is then aiding that particular situation over sporting meritocracy. Now, I've got a bit of a theory now, and this has been going on in my head, and I've said it outwardly over the last 3.5 years, and it's not really gained traction, mainly because I had a problem with the justification of the point that I was trying to make. Now, I think it's really pointing me in a particular direction. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to ask. Just bear with me on the storytelling.
Getting on the soapbox again.
I am going to get on the soapbox a bit, right? So for those that don't know, the WBC have made Conor Benn #1 at welterweight this week, right? Bear in mind, he hasn't fought at welterweight since April of 2022, which is nearly 4 years ago. That fight was against Chris Van Heerden. You've probably never heard of him. Anyway, he has never fought in a fight that has been sanctioned by the WBC. Done a lot with the WBA and various international belts there, but not with the WBC, even though he has been ranked there because of his work with the clean boxing program. Since that fight with Chris Van Heerden, he's failed 2 performance-enhancing drug tests and he's had 4 fights. The unranked Rodolfo Orozco at 154 pounds and the unranked Peter Dobson, he struggled with them both. He then fought Chris Eubank Jr., who beat him handsomely, and then he beat Chris Eubank Jr., both up at middleweight, in a very convincing win. And as I've said, he's just been installed as the #1. Now, this is the part of the story where I just need you to try and pay attention to because people can lose what actually happened a couple of years ago. In October of 2022, Conor Benn failed a test under the clean boxing program. I'm only going to concentrate on one of those tests that he failed, not the second one, which was connected to the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. The first one, which was connected to the clean boxing program. The reason that he gave for failing that test to the WBC was that there was a flaw in the testing process. The WBC said that this was nonsense. And instead, they issued him with, instead of issuing him with a ban, should I say, they provided him with an alternate reason for failing the test, a large consumption of eggs. That came from the WBC. It never came from Conor Benn. Benn has actually publicly denied the large consumption of eggs, but he's happy to take the clearance from the WBC based on that. Now, why did they do that? Why did the WBC give him an alternate reason for failing that test? Can Conor Benn, and this is my first question, can Conor Benn prove that there is a flaw in the testing process? If he can, that would open the WBC up to litigation from every single fighter that has ever issued punishments to them under the clean boxing programme. It would do the same for any fighter caught by voluntary anti-doping because they'd issued the clean boxing programme tests. It's interesting that this noise is the same type of noise that is now being made by Dennis McCann, who is currently saying that there is a flaw in his testing process as well, issued by VADA. Did the WBC, and this is the big question, did the WBC offer Conor Benn an alternate reason because he could expose them? I've always thought, why would Conor stay quiet if it ruins his reputation? Because it does ruin his reputation. Let's be honest, it did. It absolutely ruined his reputation until this week. Was he promised something in return for staying quiet? These questions, I think, have to be answered. Why is he the number one with the WBC in the division that he's not fought at in 4 years?
Well, I think there's a... I'm not saying there's flaws in your argument, but remember there are two different tests with the WBC and with VADA.
Like I said, I'm only concentrating on the clean boxing programme one.
You're only concentrating on the WBC. So the only reason they came forward with that, I'm not arguing for them now, I'm just giving what happened. The only reason they came forward with that, in my view, is that there's previous with other sportsmen testing positive for...
Yeah, but he never pitched that. Conor Benn never pitched that to them.
No, he denied it because he's always maintained he has absolute innocence. He didn't want an out clause. I agree with you.
He says there's a flaw in their testing process.
No, I'm coming on to that. No, that's their argument ultimately that got him off. That's why he's held VADA to ransom and WBC to ransom in a sense legally, in my view. I think that's what's happened behind the scenes. You're alluding to it, and you're right. He's won his case based on a flaw in their testing system.
That's his argument. They deny that. They're saying that he's eating a load of eggs.
The WBC haven't actually come out and denied.
They have. They came out with a statement in the immediate aftermath when we were talking about 280-page documents. They said there is not a flaw in our testing process. The reason why he has failed his test...
The WBC said, yeah, but we haven't heard from VADA on it.
No, not at all. Not heard from VADA. We've heard from the WBC.
Yeah. Well, I think they've changed their tune. That's what they've done. They've gone with his narrative. Who's gone with his narrative?
The
WBC have had to go with his narrative because he's won his case. He's been exonerated, hasn't he? That's the problem for them. They're caught.
Yeah, but they exonerated him by giving him a different reason.
Earlier on in the case.
Right.
But he never accepted that.
Right.
So what I mean is their argumentation is flawed. We know that. I think it's obvious that...
Well, this is my point. Why is he now... Why has he stayed quiet on it?
Money. Because he's going to get a big money fight for the WBC title against Mario Barrios or Ryan Garcia. And look, and to your point, to continue that point, Manny Pacquiao suddenly fought after 4 years away.
Yeah, I know that.
Against Barrios. And I think he beat him, by the way, by a round. It was a very close fight. I thought he won that fight. How was he getting a fight after 4 years away?
Because the WBC make it up as they go along.
I think you've said the WBC make it up in 8 words. You've summed up exactly what they do all the time. But underpinning that is finance, money, business. And that's the bottom line with it. And I think, we know Jose, and I knew Jose Suleiman. I know Mauricio Suleiman that runs the organisation now, his son. They run it like a business, They are not criminals, they are not crooks, but they run it like a business.
But is that fair on the fighters that are paying their sanctioning fees in order to get themselves boosted up in the ranks? Whereas Conor Benn's not fought in that division for nearly 4 years, and now he's the number one, and he's mandated for a world title that could be next year.
Well, and Ryan Garcia, let's put him in context here in the WBC as well.
Exactly.
Ryan Garcia
failed to test himself.
He's unranked by the WBC, and he's fighting Barrios for the title. So... You've hit the nail on the head tonight. They do make it up as they go along because they make it up to make money, and that is the way it works, Adam. That is the way that boxing works at that top pyramid level. It's rather like we're going to come on to it later. Why should Alexander Usyk be defending it's the WBC belt to Deontay Wilder? I get it. We're going to talk about that later.
Absolutely, because Ajit Kabiel's the interim champion.
But the point is, Usyk's happy to take it because it's on offer to him, because Wilder's in the top 15 of the WBC heavyweight rankings, because in 20 years' time, no one remembers, or people do remember, people who were there know, and we love Joe Calzaghe, and he's a friend of mine, and I covered his entire career. When he fought Roy Jones Jr. and ended the era with Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. having beaten Mikhail Kessler and beaten all the other super middleweight champions over on this side of the pond, he bookended the era by beating those two American greats. Yeah, but Roy Jones Jr. was already shot. Just like in 20 years' time, if Alexander Usyk does step in with Deontay Wilder, the record books will show that he beat Fury twice, that he beat Anthony Joshua twice, Tyson Fury twice, Anthony Joshua twice, and and if they have a close fight, he might fight him twice, and he beat Deontay Wilder twice. What did he do 20 years down the line? He destroyed the entire era.
I promise you, the rest of the show is going to be positive from my point of view. All right?
I think, sometimes...
I'm just trying to point out...
Sometimes I have disagreements with you over, I think... You come at a certain bias. I think the points you're making tonight are very well made, and I agree with them all. And I think in this time, and I've thought this myself for the last few weeks, there is too much machination of and manipulation going on right now, and it needs to be called out. Because it's not doing us any good, and it is unfair on a lot of the other guys waiting around, the Ajit Kabayels of this world. I can mention Joseph Parker here, but obviously he's under a cloud with the cocaine test at the moment. But look how long he waited to fight for a world title. Fabio Wardley is now the WBO champion.
Yeah.
I mean, there's great fights going on.
Yeah,
we're in a great position in boxing. There's lots of name stars, but there's a little bit of mess there at the moment that needs tidying up.
We've got some guests in the studio here to lighten the mood, to add a little bit of energy, to put some smiles on some people's faces. Tony Ajayi and Joe Kadir is joining us in the studio next. Don't be going anywhere. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. We're keeping an eye on everything that's going on in Monte Carlo. In the ring right now, it is Masood versus McGrail. They're in the third round. I'll keep you up to date with it. Interesting night for Johnny Fisher a little bit earlier on, wasn't it? And of course, Conor Walker and Pat McCormack went at it, and we'll give you a full debrief on that a little bit later on in the programme. Right now, though, let's get the guest list underway, shall we? Because we've got two gentlemen joining us in the studio, one of which I know can sort the hind legs off a donkey, so we could be having a whale of a time.
No, he thinks it's his show. He's already
he's already taken over, mate. It's his programme. Sunday Ajayi, welcome as always, my man. And Joel Kadua, welcome to the show. Joel, right? Don't let him steal this limelight, man. This is your moment. We're going to have at least 15 minutes of you before we obviously talk to Sunday about various things that are obviously going on, not only with yourself, but also with Anthony and what we can expect throughout the course of 2026. But first and foremost, mate, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
English welterweight champion. I mean, that's pretty special for a guy that didn't turn to boxing until you were 20 years of age.
No, but you know what's crazy about it? My end of year quote, not end of year quote, but what I wanted to be when I was like younger, I put in my in the end of year book, I wanted to become a boxer, a champion. So even before I started boxing, I knew I wanted to do it.
So are you talking like end of school? Like when you're 16, you're signing your books and all that type of stuff?
Yeah.
You wanted to turn into the world of boxing even though you'd never had a go at that point or anything?
I had like a small taster, like when I was in year 9. Then my parents took me out of it because they said it was too dangerous.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to see me get hurt.
So what brought you back in then when you were 20?
I just said, what's the worst that can happen?
Because career-wise, you were going down a different pathway. Were you not working on the railways?
Yeah, working on the railways, doing railway engineering, doing them cold night shifts.
Yeah.
You'd have been out there tonight doing it, doing your double pay, treble pay for a weekend, probably.
Yeah. So it's like, on the railways, it also gave me that hunger of what I actually wanted to chase and achieve in life.
Real life, man.
Real life, yeah.
The thing I love about this, pardon me if I get this wrong, right? So you were doing the railway night shifts till God knows what time in the morning, getting yourself, a couple of hours kip, and then you're in the gym at 11 o'clock during the day, doing your full sessions, getting a little bit more kip, then back on the railways of an evening.
100%. I remember there was a time I was so tired that... So I finished working on the railway. As soon as I got home, went for my quick 5K jog, went for like a two hour nap, and had sparring in the gym. So I've come to the gym, but I've come in my boxing shoes.
Right, okay.
So now I'm at the gym now, finished training and whatnot, and I'm looking for my shoes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even pack my shoes. So I had to go home in my boxing shoes. Yeah.
You're the only guy that's fallen asleep in sparring. You were so tired.
Sunday Ajayi is alongside us. You've got a track record for this, mate, haven't you? What is it? Finding these rough diamonds that have literally no amateur experience. How many did you have as an amateur? 12?
12, yeah.
12 amateur fights.
Yeah.
Now the dude's English champion in the welterweight division and just really starting to kick on. Fantastic performance last time out on the BBC, of course. Good platform for him. But talk to me about rough diamonds. I'm finding these guys with next to nothing when it comes to amateur experience and being able to mould them into something in the pro game.
First and foremost, great to be here alongside the man with the plan, Mr. Gareth Davies.
Not normally. But hang on a minute. When John Charles came in and did that, I got battered for half an hour.
No. Those who know. And the impressive Mr. Adam Catterall. It's an honour and a pleasure.
Lovely to have you here, mate.
In
Always.
the studios again. And Anthony Yard had 12 amateur fights. Walked into the gym, and we know where he is. Joel Kadua had 12 amateur fights. I've never been given any help in terms of having another. I'm not crying about it, but it just shows you, and I feel like it's more of a testament to young children who have a dream that with the right guidance, the right teaching, they can be something. Let's not forget that Joel Kadua is also the champion of the Southern area. He is also the Commonwealth silver champion, which he won in his 9th fight against an unbeaten fighter, Daniel Francis. And now in his 10th fight, he's gone and clipped the wings of another unbeaten fighter. And this is someone, as he said, who literally just came into the gym, was working in a railway. I remember him sitting on the stairs of the world famous Peacock gym eating agege bread, as we call it. Those who don't know, it's African cuisine. Basically, it's just bread and sugar. And Joe would be upstairs eating sleeping, and ready for his session. And one thing I look for in any individual is always the willingness to want to work.
You mention, Joel, Anthony Yards. One of the guys I'll never forget who's become he's almost an emotional friend is O'Hara Davies, who was stealing from shops when he came to you.
Yes.
And his career's over, even though he keeps going back to Africa to fight,
Yes, sir.
which is fine. Who now goes into prisons
Yes, sir.
to talk to people because he has learnt that he didn't become a world champion. He fought world champions, but he has a message as strong as any world champion out there. And that's testament to you as well,
Well, let
sir.
me tell you something. Boxer and Ben Shalom had a show up, and there were 3 young men on that stage heading the show, and that was Adam Azim, Anthony Yard, and O'Hara Davies. And credit to O'Hara, he said that the man who trained all of us, let's not forget, Adam Azim was with me when he was 8 years old. Hassan Azim was with me when he was 10 years old. All boys that I've had to see as rough diamonds, but diamonds altogether. And
Can I just ask?
We've got a break. We've got a break, but we'll come back to it. We'll come back to the conversation in a moment. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. The brilliant English welterweight champion, Joe Cadder, is alongside us, as is Tony Ajayi. I apologise because I had to cut us off because we were going to break and you were about to ask
Tunde, about his father-like approach to boxing. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
the angle that you were going.
absolutely. Thank you, Adam. No, it's Tunde. What we always talk about what success you've had with young fighters and brought them through, and it resonates. What in you instilled you with the ability to do that? Where did you learn it? Have you ever thought about that, and how do you carry it?
I think for this one, I've got to put on the Trevor McDonald.
For those that are not watching,
Sir Tunde.
he's put his glasses on. He's put his readers on to be able to tell us this story.
I got to put on the Trevor McDonald's for this one, because all credit and all praise belongs to a man who happens to be my father, Samuel Olatubosun Ajayi, a man that came over to this country with his Nigeria must go bag. The Ghanaians know what I'm talking about, because it's Ghana must go bag. Qualified as an ACCA and a CIMA accountant, chartered accountant, but we lived in the ghetto, Dockenhill Estate, Brixton, and he brought me up single-handedly. And for coming from where I come from, I grew up in a state where single mothers bringing up men, and I was the only child on the estate to have his dad present from the start till last year, when my father left, finally saying that you're a man now at whatever age.
That's brilliant.
And so my father is my hero, and all the love somebody can give another person, whether it's a man or a woman, came from Samuel Olatubosun.
But fascinatingly, you were saying during the break, and I've got to get you to talk about this, Samuel was flogged as a kid.
My dad,
beaten.
My dad, listen, it's culture. It's not only Nigerians, Ghanaians, the African culture, but even, I've got English friends who...
I was caned at school as well.
There you go, Gareth. So, it was part of the society. Because my father was the eldest, he got the most in terms of punishment. And because of that, he swore never to hit his child. And I got to be the only Nigerian that had never been beaten by their father. And so I only got 100% love. And they say you can only give what you've been given.
Yeah.
And whenever these young men come into that, I make them know, don't be thinking I'm in this for money. I actually love you. I care for you. I'm about to manage, navigate, and make sure you end this career with money in the bank. Because let us not forget, professional boxing is about prize fighting.
It is.
Well, one final thing, Ad, on this, just to make the point about this for Joel as well, that I had deep interviews while he was alive with George Foreman, the late, great George Foreman, and with Evander Holyfield, who's obviously still with us. Both of those guys were beaten a lot by their mothers. Both of those men, and both their mothers had 3 jobs.
Yes.
And they never swore on air.
Yes.
They never trash talked an opponent. And they always talk about how they would always behave because the way they were treated by their mothers. I know they were beaten, but it was by their mothers. And those two, for me, those two are the greatest gentlemen we've got in boxing in our lifetimes.
And that's a prevalent story, because mothers have had to play both roles in certain communities. So I feel like, again, my father set a precedent, especially for my area, where a man can bring up another strong role model in his community and not rule them with an iron rod, but rule them with love.
Can we ask Joel how all this resonates with you in your life?
It's quite relatable, because even me growing up, my parents are African. They were brought up in Ghana, so it's like they brought the tradition of if someone misbehaves, they must get either hit or
punished.
Yeah. So it's like, I think my youngest brother, I think it stopped at my youngest brother. So with me, I come from a brother of 4, so altogether there's 5 of us. So there's me and my youngest brother, who are the only 2 that actually do sports in our family. My youngest brother plays football, plays for West Ham. He's on loan at the moment to Luton Town. So with him, it's like, in fact, with all of us, we've all got that discipline of hard work. And
were you beaten a lot or not?
I was troublesome, yeah. I was troublesome, yeah. So it's like, with me, I don't know. I think that's why I'm quite hard-headed as well. Yeah, when it comes to training as well, I can tell you that once I put my mind on something, I'm gonna get it done.
I've noticed that a lot with your fighters. They all call young.
100%.
They all
100%.
call you that, don't they?
And I was trying to roll away from it for so long. But it's like it's stuck now. And, you know, it's
Yeah, but that's a term of endearment. That's a term of respect.
It is.
yes,
yeah.
That's what it is.
100%. And I love them for it. You know, I will go down on record as saying as Joe Kadua is the only fighter from the very first day I train him. Every single day after training, I receive a text. Thank you, Unks. I really appreciate it. And before I thought it was a wind-up. I thought Jeremy Beadle was about to come out of the woodworks. But
You thought he was being
and I'm
sarcastic or
saying,
something,
being
right?
sarcastic, but every day for the last 3 years, 4 years, this boy has says thank
But that's a credit to his parents because of the way that they
1,000,000%.
brought him up and the way that he
His
goes about
father's
doing
called
his
the
business.
pressure- His father's called the pressure
Right.
man.
Now listen, this guy is now the English welterweight champion, right? How far can he go?
Believe me, Adam, people know about him. The stories have gone around the gym. He's a dangerous man. He's a bad man, as Muhammad Ali said. And for me, we've seen again my methodology of bringing fighters from zero to the very highest level of the sport is about patience. We've seen tonight with Pat McCormack, regardless of the Olympic pedigree, you don't put an 8-fight novice in the professional ranks with a hardened, seasoned guy that's taken defeat, bounced back. That's, in my opinion, not how I would bring up.
Tell us what happened tonight.
It's just lack of experience. That's what it boils down to. And everything in the sport of boxing is experience.
It's about timing, isn't it?
Everything is timing.
You've got to get it right at the right time. Now, listen, I was supportive of them rolling the dice tonight and having a little bit of a look to see whether it could get past Conor Walker. We'll talk about that fight a little bit later on. It wasn't to be. It is about getting it right. Sometimes you can make a mistake.
Yes.
It's also about learning from those mistakes
1,000,000%.
and being able to push forward. This young man is... I like what you mentioned earlier on before. Southern area title, proper. English title, proper.
Go the route.
The next logical step would be obviously eyeing maybe towards British title.
1,000,000%. And Joe Kadua, the sky's the limit. I sit here today and say the exact same thing I said about Anthony Yard. Everything is timing. And you got to remember, these young men have come from nowhere. They haven't had the experience of traveling the world, staying in hotels all around the world and fighting different type fighters. We literally have come off council estates.
Yeah.
They've come into the gym and now they're champions. So that in itself is a story.
We've got to end on Joel tonight, but what happened with Anthony Yard against Jose Benavidez officially, against David Benavidez, apologies, out in Riyadh?
One thing you will always get from myself and Anthony and Joel Kadua, you'll soon see, we don't make no excuses. We're not talking about Bob from your local pub who he just lost to.
I lost to him last week. He's pretty hard, he's Bob.
We ain't talking about Steve from Bethnal Green.
Yeah, I get you.
We are talking about, and this is not once, this is 3 times, about 3 pound for pound generational greats. And how can you call somebody a loser that has come from zero? Me and Anthony used to be taking people's shower gel in gyms because we never had no money. We were, and to see us sitting up there, to see him, that young man that I've guided and aided from the beginning, just even be sitting down. Obviously, we're winners, but we would never make excuses. I will never make excuses for him. David Benavidez is a fantastic fighter, modern great. There's a reason why no other light heavyweight in the division wants to fight him. But guess what? Anthony Yard fight him.
Could he beat Dimitri Bivol in your view, or Artur
Well, we
Beterbiev?
already know he beat up Dimitri Bivol years ago in sparring.
Yeah.
And hence why he would rather vacate the belt rather than fight David Benavidez. Callum Smith claimed that he would rather fight Benavidez than Anthony Yard. Guess what? The opportunity was there. You turned it down.
Final one for Joel. Tell us about your route forward without Tunde telling us. In your mind, your projection, your drive, your ambition, when are you going to fight Conor Benn at welterweight, or Barrios, or Ryan Garcia, or whoever it is?
I just want to take the traditional route. So, for example, even someone like Carl Froch, for his 10th fight, he also won the English title. He even won it in Derby as well. So it's like, with that, I think he won it by a TKO in the 9th round. No,
I think
8th
I
round,
was
8th
there. I'm
round.
trying to remember
Yeah,
who the
8th round.
opponent was.
So it's like if I follow his footsteps, he went on to become British champion and become a world champion as well. So it's like, the blueprint is there.
And 11 of his last 13 fights were all world title fights.
Yeah.
As well.
How what's your current promotional situation? Because were you with Queensbury, and now you've just been on a couple of boxer shows recently, haven't you?
Yeah.
So what's your situation? Come on, man. Well, let's get you sorted.
So I'm with Boxer.
Okay, you're with Boxer right now.
Yeah.
So there's the platform there. So last time out, obviously, for those that missed this, that you were on the Fraser Clark Jamie TKV card, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's where you picked up this
Last weekend.
which was an awesome platform to be on, BBC. When next do you want to try and get out? Are you trying to get on the one that they're doing in December?
No, so I'm going to be on January 31st.
Adam Azim headlining, isn't he?
Fantastic.
So I'll be fighting Travis Waters.
Strictly come dancing and a couple of traitors. No, come on, but the projection.
Travis Water, who also is on his third unbeaten fighter. We're talking about a novice fighting unbeaten fighters at the beginning of their career. Dan Francis 10-0.
Bobby Dalton.
Bobby Dalton
Lloyd Germain was 9-2 as well.
9-2,
Yeah.
also a champion. And now Travis Waters 12-0
Yeah.
with 6 KOs. So this guy is serious.
Yeah.
Are you saying that could be the fight on January the 3rd?
No,
Are you-
that's-
It is the third.
That's-
Oh, it is definitely that.
That has been mandated by the British Boxing Board of Control, and that is the next contest.
Do you like the idea of being able to project yourself on the BBC and make a name for yourself?
Yeah,
in those ways?
100%.
Is that a
Because
benefit?
it's a big platform as well. Even after my last fight, my last win, I put up an A sign. So the A was for autism, and then that relates to my little nephew. So
Brilliant.
he also suffers from autism as well. So it's like in my community, it's not really spoken about as much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when he was diagnosed with autism, that's when I started doing my research about it, seeing how things work. For example, with him as well, he's also non-verbal, so
Wow.
trying to communicate with him
complex,
was a bit hard. So it's like even my older brother, communicating with him is like he has to do telepathy or something. So just so he knows what he wants or knows what he wants to eat or how he's feeling and things like that.
There is
Great. Well done.
I know that I'm being pushed to go to break here, right? But
Fascinating.
there is a common trait with all fighters that come through your gym.
Yeah, they got high tax bills.
I was going to talk about the ethos when it comes to community, when it comes to other people, when it comes to giving back. They don't seem to ever forget where they've come from.
Listen, Adam, you put 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, I'll never forget my people. I'll never forget where I come from. I don't care what anyone has to say that is not in line with building the people that I grew up with. And I love everyone in my community, and I do this for them. I do this to show them that we can be in the worst situations, but rise. And so that's why I came up with the slogan, dream it, believe it, become it. Because every kid in the community has a dream, and they just have to believe that's a dream and go to work. Hard work, ethics, being on time. This is everything which anyone who has ever been associated with me, anyone that's come in front of me, has to stick by.
Very, very inspiring, you two. Very,
Listen,
very inspiring.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And I know that Christmas won't be full on, mate. Obviously, with you getting a fight on the January 31st, but you know what I mean? You can enjoy yourself a tiny little bit before you get stuck into your big fight on January 31st. We'll definitely be tuning into it. Great to have you in the studio. Make sure you're not a stranger in 2026, mate. I think big things are on the way. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Tony,
much.
for your time,
Cheers,
man.
gentlemen.
Stick with us. Elisora will be with us in the next half an hour or so. We've got lots to talk about at the WBC convention as well. Don't be going anywhere.
The Six Nations, where giants do battle and legends are made. Epic sports which demands an epic voiceover every time. And actually has an interesting story as well. It all started back in 1871 when Scotland beat England in the very first international rugby match. The other home nations were a bit jealous, wanted in on the action, and after England played Wales in 1882, they all decided to hold an annual festival of international rugby, or the Home International Championship, which kicked off a year after. Now, the first decade was dominated by England and Scotland until Wales finally won in 1893 and Ireland a year later. After years of dipping in and out of the championship, France was invited to join full-time in 1910. But because France isn't a home nation, they had to give it a rebrand and settle on the Five Nations. But France were actually kicked out of the tournament in 1931. They were accused of paying players when rugby was still strictly an amateur sport. They had to wait years to be let back in. But after World War II, the Five Nations resumed. Didn't always run smoothly though, like in 1973 when all 5 teams won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. Now, because they didn't do points difference at the time, they just decided that everyone was the champion. It's like trying to keep kids happy, you know, the whole, you're all winners. In the years following, other teams in Europe started to get better at rugby and actually got to a stage where they were regularly beating teams in the Five Nations. In 1997, Italy beat Scotland, France and Ireland home and away. So 2 years later, the Five Nations invited Italy in, creating the Six Nations as we know it. In recent years, there have been calls to expand the tournament further to other European teams. Georgia and Portugal have been prime candidates to join of late. It's also been suggested there could be 2 tiers with promotion and relegation to promote growth of the sport in Europe. But the existing nations are a bit reluctant. So for now, it looks like the Six Nations, or Six Nations, or Sei Nazioni, is here to stay.
It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. Ellis Zorro is going to be in the studio, British Cruiserweight, in around about half an hour from now. Stick around. We're going to talk a little bit. Alexander Usyk wanting Deontay Wilder in a moment or two, so you're more than welcome to come and join us for that conversation. 03717 22 33 44. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. Now then, this week, Alexander Usyk has been doing the rounds with the old interview. As we know, he's relinquished the WBO version of the heavyweight world title, of which now is held by Fabio Wardley. He holds the WBA, the WBC and the IBF. We've got interim champions in various weight divisions waiting to take on Alexander. But he has been doing interviews this week stating that he wants a little bit of a showdown with Deontay Wilder. When he first said it, Gareth, I actually thought that he was on the wind-up. However, he's doubled down on it. He said it a couple more times. What have you made of Alexander Usyk's rhetoric of wanting to take on Deontay Wilder in his next fight?
Well, I mentioned it earlier on when we were having our discussion about the World Boxing Council that you go back in time and, you know, Muhammad Ali fought Floyd Patterson twice, Mike Tyson fought Larry Holmes. And with all of these, for the great fighters, for the great heavyweights, at least in this case, and you could say the same at light heavyweight with Joe Calzaghe and Roy Jones Jr., people like to bookend an era. They like to close off an era. You know, you've already said it. I've said it myself that there's that expression we use in boxing that the fact that Alexander Usyk's beaten Daniel Dubois twice, once in Poland and once here, and he kind of crossed the T's and dotted the I's on that one in that second fight quite brilliantly at Wembley earlier this year, and beat Tyson Fury twice last year for the undisputed crown, and dealt with Anthony Joshua, who was seen as a difficult problem for him at the beginning when he stepped up from cruiserweight. He completed the era, didn't he? But to truly complete the era, when people look back in 20 years' time, which was what I'm saying about Tyson and Holmes and Patterson and Ali, when people look back historically, I think it's piqued his curiosity. I think the teams, as I understand anyway, the teams, Shelley Finkel in New York for Wilder, I've been talking about this behind the scenes. Shelley Finkel wanted Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua, but Eddie Hearn would not push that forward for some reason. I think it was a good fight for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, but Alexander Usyk's taken a few months off. He's played beach volleyball, whatever he does in Spain. He's out building properties in Thailand at the moment. He's growing his empire. He's growing his hair. He looks half human again, doesn't he? You can tell he's on holiday. No, but he's got a holiday element about him. But he's just had a little look and thought, you know what? I'm going to ask the WBC if I can get Deontay Wilder in the ring. And it's to our point of earlier. He's having a fight off. There are risks. Wilder's still got power, but he can't pull the trigger. This is an ending of the era fight for him. It may well, in my view, be his last fight.
Yeah. Do you know something, from an Alexander Usyk point of view, I've absolutely no problem with him choosing whatever he wants to do. I think he's absolutely earned the right, and this might be counterintuitive to all the things that I normally say about boxing, but Alexander Usyk is that unicorn that has turned up. He has given us everything that we've ever asked of him. He's given us 2 undisputed fights with Tyson Fury. He's beaten Anthony Joshua on 2 occasions, and as you've just pointed out, he's beaten Daniel Dubois on 2 occasions. What does he want to do next? It was interesting to hear him talk about the possibility of the Parker-Wardley scenario. I would have fought Parker, but not necessarily Wardley. Okay, all right. It doesn't really match what you've been doing in the past, but like I said, you're in a different stage now, coming into your 40th year. This might be the last year that we see him as a pro, so he's after the big ones, the one that earned him the dough, the one that gets him up, the one that gives him that little bit of jeopardy. Hard-hitting Deontay Wilder, does it give him a bit of jeopardy? I don't think it does really right now, but I understand your point there of bookending the whole era. What I will say, though, is that if he is to decide that he is going to do a fight with Deontay Wilder, then the sanctioning bodies have got to govern the sport properly. We've got an interim champion with the WBC. How many belts do we need? Ajit Kabayel is waiting for his shot at the WBC full title. If Alexander Usyk wants to fight Deontay Wilder, you can't give him a voluntary just because Deontay Wilder used to be the champion and is currently number 13 in the WBC. You've got an interim champion who is defending his belt, by the way, in Germany. That's ridiculous. The whole point of having an interim champion is to move the division along when the full champion is not ready and able to fight. Well, he's ready and able to fight. So you either make the fight between Alexander Usyk and Ajit Kabayel. If Usyk doesn't want to do it, cool. Give us the belt back. Let Ajit Kabayel crack on and become the WBC full champion. And Usyk can have his move around with Wilder if he wants.
Well, the point is, our theme tonight is let's bash the WBC.
Yeah.
No, it is, because in all the reasoning that we've been discussing tonight, which we agree on, it's manipulation of money and big fights.
It's not fair on Ajit Kabayel, mate. It's what it is.
I agree. And people, there's a thing called step-aside money in boxing, which we haven't mentioned at the moment, that people get step-aside money to wait as well. Now, he's got a fight, obviously assigned already under the Queensberry banner in Germany in January. Kabayel, that is.
Yeah.
Who is a very formidable champion and an interim champion, and one who we believe, out of all these young heavyweights, probably has the best chance of giving Alexander Usyk a difficult time.
It's a great fight, isn't it?
He's a big, strong, squat, powerful, body-punching heavyweight. He's very good on the inside, which could nullify the skills of Alexander Usyk, and I think it's a very good matchup. The trouble is, and like you say, Usyk's become so popular that we are happy to give him a pass on this one, but so are the WBC, and I think it may well be positioned as well as unless they go to Poland, they won't go to Ukraine, obviously, at the moment to have the fight, where they would sell out the biggest stadium that's available there. They could go to America and do it. Could be his opportunity to fight in Las Vegas, to break gates in Las Vegas. So the problem, I say a problem, Alexander Usyk earned so much money for his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
That the premium in the division, which is why we're waiting for Saudi Arabian investment in Fury and Joshua. We need the extra money to get those 2 in a ring, because the premium is too high, and the premium has been placed too high by the Saudi investment over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, but the WBC want their 3%.
About that,
they want their 3% of what he brings to the table.
But they want that as well. That goes without saying, or 0.6% if it's 100 million that's going to be made on the fight. So, we are round in circles, and we are throwing darts tonight, and we have to. but I don't mind. Weirdly, I don't have any objection, kind of emotionally or mentally.
No problem with the fight
about him having that fight.
But Ajit Caballero,
on paper, it's a ridiculous fight on paper.
Yeah, he wins all day. He wins all day because, with all due respect, Deontay Wilder is not the force that he was 3 years ago. There's no doubt. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But I've no problem with the fight if that's what Alexander Usyk wants to do. But the WBC have to uphold the rules, right? Okay, let's move this division on.
I agreed, and also Usyk's at the point, like you mentioned with Terence Crawford earlier. He doesn't actually need belts anymore. He's accepted as the number one in the division. He could fight Fury again. They wouldn't need a belt on the line in a trilogy fight. He doesn't need a belt on the line to fight Deontay Wilder. He doesn't need belts anymore. He's Alexander Usyk.
Yes.
So if he goes into MMA, if he goes into bare knuckle and has a fight, it's Alexander Usyk.
Can I just ask you something, right? Because just on this same story, heavyweight WBC lineage, right? Well, at the moment, Alexander Usyk's the champion. Ajit Caballero's the interim champion. Why have the WBC this week ordered an eliminator for Italma Akoli?
Again, I got to continue the bashing with you. It did not make any sense whatsoever. Moses Italma is fighting Jermaine Franklin in January, isn't he?
Yeah.
In Manchester.
Yeah.
We don't even need that fight called at the moment. They are politicking with Queensberry and Frank Warren. Akoli's in the same stable.
Yeah. You don't need to order it. Why are they ordering it?
Positioning is positioning.
Why are they sticking the beaks in? They don't need to.
It's because it's their conference and they want to make noise and they want to make news. And as we've seen, they've brought out a whole raft of things this week. The biggest news story of all was Terence Crawford calling them out. That was the biggest one of all week for me.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what else we're going to talk about. We're going to continue this because I'm loving this conversation tonight. Mr. Ajayi's just been in the studio. He's got a light heavyweight that's doing extremely well, and okay, he's fallen short at world level. Another light heavyweight.
You mean Anthony Yard?
Yeah, Anthony Yard, yeah.
Yeah.
Another light heavyweight that isn't one of Sunday's, but he did fight last week, and we've all got an opinion on Ben Whittaker. He was ordered this week as an eliminator with Joshua Buatsi. We'll talk about that next. Do not go anywhere. raises. They've just made a lot of decisions this week that I just cannot fathom. Yes, we spoke about Terence Crawford. I've personally gone down the route of supporting what he's done. You've also got the number one implementation of Conor Benn at welterweight, even though he's not fought there for the best part of 4 years. You've got other fights that have been called as well, i.e. the one that we've just been mentioning with Atama and Okoli as an eliminator for the heavyweight title, even though they've already got an interim champion and an active full champion. Absolutely madness. The one that has really raised eyebrows is this one. They have ordered Ben Whittaker to fight Joshua Buatsi. And the winner of that then will go on to fight the current champion, Dimitri Bivol. I'm a little bit perplexed by this. Everybody that saw Ben Whittaker come back last week saw him pick up a version of a WBC Silver International straight out of a Kellogg's cornflake packet box belt, whatever it was. But I understand that these help with rankings and what have you. The opponent last week was of no level to be warranting the sanctioning or ordering of a fight to then progress him towards a world level. Now, the reason why I've got a problem with this particular fight being ordered, and this is no bashing of the two gentlemen involved, whether it be Mr. Buatsi or Mr. Whittaker, who I both rate very, very highly, and I think could go on to maybe one day challenge at the very, very highest level. I just think they've got a little bit of work to do. For those that don't know, the WBC historically have been affiliated with the EBU, right? So therefore, you would automatically think that if they were going to order a fight for an eliminator for a World Championships, the EBU champion would be within the consideration of that ordering. The EBU champion is a man by the name of Lyndon Arthur. He won that a couple of weeks ago, that European Championship in this division. Why?
Performance against Brad Ray.
It was an absolutely incredible performance. Maybe the performance of his career so far. So if you're going to order a fight as an eliminator, why is the European champion, the EBU champion, not involved in that conversation?
Doesn't make any sense to me. I think Eddie Hearn has addressed this, saying there's two tiers in the light heavyweight division right now, with Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, who we've mentioned earlier, Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, and I'd include Callum Smith in that grouping as well. And then you've got Dan Aziz, Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson, Ezra Taylor, who are all great tests for him. Lyndon Arthur is in that grouping as well. A very formidable fighter on his game. Brilliant jab, incredible physique, massive guy at 175 pounds. And I think he's a great opponent for Ben Whittaker. Ben Whittaker against Joshua Buatsi is a great fight. There's no way on earth Eddie Hearn is putting Ben Whittaker, the new star of his stable,
right now,
in with Joshua Buatsi. All it is, and this is the WBC bashing again, is they want resonance. They've seen they've got a star in the making here, and they want a bit of him. And that is what it is. It's as simple as that. Eddie Hearn's already revealed that Ben Whittaker is going to America in March because they want to conquer America.
I saw that.
He'll fight all those guys at some point. I really do think he will be a star. He was overmatched against Ben Gavazi last weekend. It was a horrible, brutal knockout. It was like he was punching a bag, taking nothing away from him. We didn't get time. I think you said it on the show in the week. His ring walk was longer than the actual performance against
As it
Gavazi.
should be against that opponent.
As it should be. But, you know, the trumpets and the fanfares were out in full force for a performance that he should have delivered in that way.
And he did.
In the way that Anthony Joshua should do against Jake Paul in 2 weeks' time. It shouldn't last any longer than that. It should be that kind of demolition, even though I've got a weird feeling it may not be. But I'm digressing now because we're going out there for talkSPORT, by the way. But that's my point. I mean, he will not fight Buatsi right now. Great fight as it is. Is he capable of beating him? Maybe even, but he's not ready for that yet. We were talking with Tunde and Joel. You've got to take your time. You've got to go that traditional route.
Should we talk about something a bit more positive?
Yeah, go on.
Let's move it on to...
I think we are being very positive
listen.
tonight.
You've just mentioned there a couple of trips that you're going on, right? Firstly, Dubai this week. You're off to the World Amateur Championships this
The
week.
International Boxing Association World Championships tomorrow for the week. It's the second week of the championships. There's a pro event next weekend that caused controversy with Moses Taumer and Frank Warren because they wanted Kubrat Pulev to defend the WBA regular title against Moses Taumer, but he's fighting Murat Gassiev on that card. I think that title's not on the line now. That's next Friday night. And the amateur world finals are on the Saturday night over their week tonight. But the amateurs can earn money for the first time. It's a very...
As in prize money, or they're being paid?
Prize
right,
money,
okay.
Prize money. for the winners and the semi-finalists, which has never been done before. It's the vision of this guy, Umar Kremlev, who's taken over EBA, which was IEBA, which was obviously thrown out of the Olympics for malpractice and fake judging and corruption, all those things. But they're trying to make a run of creating an amateur system that will develop for the world where people know that they can earn money for staying amateur.
To make it more attractive for people to stay on.
They can pay mortgages, they can bring up families, they can stay as amateurs if they want to be. I mean, there's a massive guest list. Deontay Wilder's there, by the way, so I might end up getting a news story for us. talkSPORT are out there as well from Thursday onwards, so we'll be doing loads of our running around. Spencer's there, Ed and Romario doing our producing and filming. So I think they're trying to embrace as wide a concept as possible, because we've got things going on in America, we've got things going on in the Middle East, we've got things going on here and in Europe. It's quite interesting how the the Eastern European sector is getting involved. It's coming in through amateur. But why aren't you coming?
What do you mean?
Why aren't you coming over?
Do you know something? There's 2 trips coming up in the next couple of weeks, right? There's this one, and then there's the Miami trip, right? You lads are going on the...
what's happening in Miami? Oh, yeah.
Your Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul thing. I have absolutely no problem with not going to Miami. This one, though, I don't like this one.
It's very interesting.
Do you know what?
This is where James Dickens won last time on a brilliant night.
Who's been upgraded this evening, by the way, Jazza?
He has.
Because Lamont Roach is in action this evening in a different weight division, and once that fight begins, he will be stripped of his championship at the WBA in the weight division below, and Jazza Dickens will be upgraded to full world champion, so congratulations.
And will fight in Riyadh on December the 27th as well.
Who's he got? I haven't seen that fight.
I think so. That's what I understand anyway.
Oh, right, okay. You're doing a bit of breaking news there for you.
But the what I found interesting, we went to the last symposium, the IBA symposium in Istanbul for a day as well, with talkSPORT and a big phalanx of media guys. And they had bare knuckle boxing on a gloved card as well.
Okay.
And
in a ring? Or in
a ring.
Okay.
In a ring, yeah. And it was very interesting because the crowd really enjoyed both gloved and ungloved that night, and there was this weird fascination for bare knuckle boxing. Everyone put their, sometimes when it's going to be a 12-round flyweight fight, or and the fights have gone on all night, people do lose focus. We don't. We're working on them. People do lose focus. Do get on the phone, but people were on the edges of their seats for the bare knuckle fights. But I do think the way they're mobilising and initiating things, and they want to do it from the ground up. I think it's very interesting. And clearly they've got a big guest list. Conor Benn's there, by the way, so we're going to get some news stories. Ben Whittaker's there. Darren Till's there. Fabio Wardley's there. Even Dave Allen is now getting the invites.
There you go. You're smiling away, aren't you?
You want to come, don't you?
Do you know something? That Dubai trip, amateur championships, fantastic. That looks like an absolutely brilliant occasion, a celebration of everything that is fantastic about amateur boxing, yeah?
Yeah, but we can't get you away from the Middle East when there's a UFC event on. That's why you love it, because it's become a go-to place for you.
It's a great place.
Yeah, we'll get you an invite. We're all leaving tomorrow.
On that note, Ellie Cesaro is going to come and join us in the studio. We're going to find out what's coming up next for him. He's got a big one lined up. I think it's in a couple of weeks' time. Don't go anywhere.
started to see a few patches, so had to take it all off.
Mate, we all get there. Gareth never gets there, but we get there. Listen, we're on the cusp of quite a special fight, actually, because on the 17th of this month, you're contesting the English title at cruiserweight, taking on John Hedges. I've seen a couple of interviews with John over the last couple of weeks, obviously talking up the fight and speaking about the magnitude of how he views this particular title. And I'm sure it's not escaped you as well, the magnitude of it as well. We've just been speaking to a couple of guys in the studio when we were talking about going through those traditional routes, area titles into English titles that lead on to British titles. Talk to me about this, the opportunity to fight for an English title to finish off the year.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a very well-known title. It feels like a little bit of a step back from when I won the WBO title against Jose Burton at York Hall.
Brilliant performance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not a step back, but even before that, that was my first title. I didn't do Southern Area English at the time. I just had to take what was given to me. Then obviously I lost to Jai, lost to Chev, and now I'm like back at this level. But I feel like I'm John Hedges' first proper fight. You know, he's not long been at cruiserweight. I think he fought Nathan Corrales, I think his name is, and he beat Lewis Oakford, I think, on cuts. But John's a good fighter, but I think I'm his first proper step up in cruiserweight, you know. So, but for me, it's kind of like a carrot dangling. I win this one, and I want that Alloys rematch, you know, hopefully for the British.
Where's your head at? Because you had an unbelievable start. You've come in. I mean, I first came aware of you through the box tournament when you absolutely smashed everybody to bits all on the same night, man.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, wow, who's this guy? Fantastic, great new addition to the division. You then made, unusually, I'd say unusually, I mean, you can give us the explanation. The promotional switch, because you went with Queensbury, you didn't go with Boxer off the back of winning that, you went in with Queensbury. And then it was great. You were away at a deck, Spellman, really good level straight away. Yeah. Fantastic performances, and then of course you had the opportunity to fight Jai. And listen, nobody turns that down when that comes in, right?
Yeah.
First event in Riyadh, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think
first or second one.
That was Day of Reckoning.
It was Day of Reckoning.
Yeah, so I think Tyson Fury was.
But it still felt enormous at the time.
I think it was probably the biggest card. Yeah, it was massive. Yeah.
But where are you at now? Because what was it? Undefeated through 10 or 11 fights. Up until
I was
that
undefeated for 17. I fought Jai and I was 17-0.
Yeah.
Right. So then you get the Jai fight, and then obviously you've just mentioned a couple there where you've had Chev, you've had Alloys, and if to the naked eye, the fan will look at it and they'll go, he's lost
for sure.
Three of his last four. Where are you at?
Well, not the Alloys fight. I feel like Alloys got a gift that night. Threw more punches, landed more punches, controlled the tempo of the fight. I think him and his team know, no disrespect to them, but I think they know that they was kind of gifted the victory that night.
It irks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I could tell.
That was the first time I've ever been on. Obviously, Jai and Chev beat me convincingly, so that you don't experience that feeling. But with the Alloys fight, especially how he was like behaving and conducting himself before, it was like a bit of a kick in the teeth. But no, to answer your question, when I won the Boxer, I was managed by Martin Bowers. I still am, you know, who's closely with Frank and Queensbury. I wanted to sign with Sky. That was my understanding. You know, that was the world, the nation's understanding. You know, if you win this fight, you get the 40 grand and you get signed. It's Sky that didn't sign me. I didn't turn down anything.
Right, okay.
Yeah, nothing was offered for whatever reason. I think, like, now looking back on it, they had Richard Riakporte at the time. I think they had just signed Lawrence Okoli, and they had Chris Smith. They had Scott Forrest, Vidal Riley. So me going in there 14-0 is kind of like, where do I slot in, you know?
You have just won their tournament, though.
Yeah, well, that's for them. That's for... I've got no clarification from Ben Shalom or anybody. Anyway, so signed with Queensbury, Dex Spellman, Jose Burton, won the WBO European title, defended that against Ortenzi. And then,
Mate, it was a great start. Those three fights,
it was
fantastic. Everything was great.
Then obviously, Jai loss.
But even that, getting, because you're with Queensbury, you get the opportunity because of that.
I don't know, man. Like,
do you not think?
I don't know. Like, if you want me to be transparent, no, I'm being transparent. I don't know. I feel like other people were. Yeah, I mean, my name was in the hat. You know, I'm 17-0. I'm a cruiserweight. Some people are saying no to fighting Jai. And I was saying yes, basically.
We didn't know at that point quite. I mean, we don't know if he's truly elite yet. We know he's very dangerous, an angled fighter, a very explosive fighter. Obviously, you had a horrific night that night, didn't you? You ended up head bouncing on the ropes early in the fight. But he's beaten Hussein Sinkara overnight, 23-0 with 19 knockouts. Overmatched slightly, I think. But and he may go on to be a great heavyweight as well. And he's a massive cruiserweight as well, isn't he? You know?
Yeah.
But had you won that, look where you would have been.
Yeah,
you haven't lost any faith in yourself over
No. You know what? Going into the Jai fight, I think everyone I've fought has been more experienced than me. I've had 3 amateur fights. I started boxing very late.
Why?
Then I went,
why
did I start boxing late?
Yeah, what were you doing? What were you doing with yourself?
No, I was actually in uni, you know. And I started boxing in uni in 2013. I was at Brunel University, had 1 amateur fight there, then had the other 2 at the Lynn in southeast London.
Listen, I'm going to talk to you about jewellery in a minute, mate, because I know that's because you went down the route of jewel.
You know what? My dad is a jeweler.
Okay.
You know, so I was.
Did you fall into it a little bit?
No, not really. I think that was oversold.
Oh, okay.
To be
All right.
honest, yeah.
We'll come to that later on.
I did business management and sports science. Anyway, yeah. So I had 3 amateur fights. Then I've gone 8-0 with Steve Gooden on small hall shows.
Yeah.
Where I was meant to be too inexperienced to be fighting this guy, fighting that guy. I was asking for the Southern Area title way back then, 2018, 2019. The amateur fights has always been an issue for me. And then I found myself 17-0. I wasn't meant to win the boxer. Wasn't meant to beat Dex Spellman. Wasn't meant to beat definitely not Hosea Burton. So when the Jai fight comes, I'm moving on to the Jai fight.
That made noise, didn't it?
But moving on to the Jai fight. When a fight is offered, you got to understand my mindset. I'm 3-0 as an amateur. I'm 17-0. I know this is a different level. For me, it was more like he's a southpaw, to be honest. But at that point, I'd only seen Jai really fight Jordan Thompson. That was his first.
Yeah.
But I think since Jordan Thompson, myself, Jack Massey, such and such, now we're seeing, like you say, how elite he really is. But at that particular time, not that there was question marks because he had beat Breeders. But you know what I mean? Like he didn't have the running that he has now. But the way I'm, like, I want to challenge myself. Like even after the fight, I was thinking, like.
You're not built to fail, are you?
I need to kind of get that back. Like I messaged his dad on Instagram because we kept a kind of relationship going. And I said, look, anytime you need rounds, if you've got a fight in the UK, hit me up. And then when he fought Jack Massey, I sparred him for the Massey fight. And that was just for me challenging myself. Like,
and how was it going back to sparring?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, sparring is sparring. But I'd been waiting for that opportunity, just to test myself.
Yeah,
if that makes
absolutely.
sense.
It's brilliant.
So yeah, he was over at the Peacock Gym for a while, and we sparred on I think 3 different occasions.
How did you deal with it? The aftermath of getting beat to Jai? Because as I said, being an undefeated fighter, the mentality is one thing, and then being beaten. Listen, we're talking world level, but being beaten world level, how does that then affect the way that you approach your game?
I just wanted to go again, like.
And then you got 100 rounds in the bank with him.
Yeah, I just wanted to go again, but obviously, yeah, losing is discouraging. But it didn't what's more discouraging is like having to sit on the shelf. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's when the phone went very quiet. I guess the interest kind of dropped.
That's what I'm alluding to.
You know what I'm
the business changes.
Yeah. But I'm still learning that on the job, you know, and financially outside of boxing, I'm not in a position where I can turn down a fight, or let me squirt. And I'm not being like promoted in a way where, we'll swerve this one, we'll go for this one, we'll swerve that one, we'll go for that one. Do you understand? It's rather like you take this, or there's nothing else.
So
do you understand?
Did you finish uni?
Yeah.
So can you nip back and do duels if you need to at some point because you've got it in the family, or if you need to make an easy buck?
Yeah, I could if I needed to. I could go get a job as well.
But you're addicted to this.
Yeah.
Totally, you are so addicted to it, aren't you?
Yeah. Boxing.
It speaks from you.
Yeah, boxing's opened a lot of doors for me. I probably wouldn't have, reached where I've reached outside if it wasn't for boxing.
Kind of doors?
Just like financially. Yeah. Certain things financially that I wouldn't have been able to probably achieve for sure. Yeah.
Hold that thought, right? Because Ellis is going to stick around. We're going to get stuck into more of this conversation in a minute. As I said, on the 17th, he's going to be fighting for the English title in the cruiserweight division. We want to get stuck into that fight, and obviously, want his thoughts about the division as a whole as he looks into 2026. Do stick with us. You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. Ellis Zorro, very kindly giving up a bit of time on a Saturday night to come and join us in the studio ahead of his fight on the 17th for the English Cruiserweight Championship against John Hedges. Matchup-wise, stylistically, how do you see this? Obviously, you can't give away too much game plan just in case someone's listening.
Yeah,
right?
within reason. But you know, he's 6'6". I'm 6'1". You know, I kind of have to. Don't have to get close to him, but I can't sit on the end of his long levers. You know, so I will have to take the fight to him, which is something that. And after the Alois fight, I don't really want anything going to the judges. You know, that's my mindset.
I wanted to obviously elaborate on what you were talking about regarding the Alois fight because listen. Bashing the way that people judge fights in this country is my favourite subject, mate, because there's a lot of people that I particularly believe that shouldn't be in positions to be able to judge particular fights. When you are a fighter and you're on the receiving end of something like that, I don't think fans fully understand how that affects someone's career.
Yeah.
Of which maybe shuts this door or shuts that door,
for sure.
or stops a particular earning potential.
Yeah, it's not like football where you can just go again next week or a fortnight later. You know, winning that or being given the decision against Alois would have opened up a lot more doors because of the hype that was around his name going into the fight, and that when you're on the wrong end of a decision, that gets taken away from you. You know, so you have to see someone else walk through those doors. If you understand what I mean.
Is that a harder loss to comprehend? Because, for example, you fight Jai, it's conclusive with all due respect. Same with Chev.
No, you said that.
You get into this one.
Yeah, especially because in my mind, I'm trying to rebuild. You know, I'm trying to get back. And Alois is a great name to do that because, you know, respect to Alois, he's a good fighter, great puncher. And there's hype around his name for a reason, you know. So taking that fight, winning that fight, puts me right back where I was when I won the Boxer, beat Jose Burton, if not a little bit higher. You understand? But
you and Vidal Riley might have been next with that.
Me and Vidal Riley for the.
It was a great fight.
He had the British. It just puts my name back in that mix. Whereas, like going into the Alois fight, there was no, you know, there was nothing really going on. There was no plan. There was no, you know, I got 4 weeks notice for that fight, and I took it, and yeah.
What do you reckon to Vidal? Just as a side remark, saying that he's going to go and fight a Misfits.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't
Does he
understand.
want to fight
I don't
Andrew
actually-
Tate, maybe?
I don't actually understand. Like,
Well, but Andrew
how all
Tate's
that works.
fighting on there at the
Yeah,
moment. So is he looking for a...
I don't know.
Vidal's very unusual. I'm very
Vidal's a
unorthodox.
good guy and a
Do
great.
you think he beats Alois?
Yeah, easy. That style of boxing and moving that I did against Alois, Vidal, like.
Can I ask you, because as I said to you before, this is your projection of you in this half an hour. Where does this come from in you, Ellis? Where deep inside you, where does this warrior come from?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe my upbringing, just lessons my dad installed in me, just to be disciplined and apply yourself to everything you're doing.
Was it a tough upbringing, a rough upbringing?
I'm a 90s baby from South London, so
your knuckles look like they've done a bit of work.
That's boxing, but no, I don't want to say it was tough because my parents took care of me, but I grew up in an environment. That's the environment. But no, it's more like the lessons my dad installed in me to apply myself to everything I'm doing, be the best. I don't really get discouraged by like setbacks and stuff like this. Or like, don't quit, for example, just like a basic thing like that. So yeah, that's kind of where it comes from.
Why boxing and not the studies then? Why did you come away from
or football or rugby?
I think I couldn't. I think I was 21, 22, came out of uni. I worked full time in HR at the National Theatre, and I had to get it out of my system to just be like, okay, yeah, this 9 to 5. This 9 to 5.
You gotta go and see it,
yeah, I had to dip my toe in just to keep my mum happy as well, because mum was saying, look, you need to get a full-time job.
Are you artistic as well? National Theatre on the South?
No, it's a good place to work. But,
amazing place.
No, it wasn't for me. But I had to dip my toe in there, and then came out of that, turned professional, and yeah, I prefer it.
What I love that, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this.
I think it chose you. Well, fighting chose you.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people can resonate with those stories where you're doing things to please your parents because they don't necessarily understand the path that you really want to go down, but they understand 9 to 5. They understand the job.
Of course,
go and get a job.
And it's a safer.
Absolutely, they're looking after you. So when you then turn around and say, "I'm actually doing this," what's the reaction?
Well, I was of age. I turned professional when I was 25, 26. So, I was a mature man. I was making good decisions outside of that. So it's just like, there weren't too much stress. But obviously as a mum and as a dad, my dad followed boxing a little bit. So they're going to be like, oh, is there anything else you can do? But I knew I was going to apply myself, and I knew I wasn't going to stop until, well, there's no real goal. Like, this is what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? This is how I'm paying the bills. Do you know what I mean? So there's no stopping. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. And I'm fully on it.
How do you see? You said there's no goals, but there must be something in your head that you are working towards.
Yeah, obviously I want to achieve, but there's no like cap, is what I mean. Right. I didn't start boxing when I was 5, 6 and grow up watching Ali and have posters of Tyson on my. So it's not like that. Oh, I can't wait to be a world champion. But just on an individual level, like I just want to be the best that I can be at whatever I'm doing. And boxing, like, it's I got a daughter that I look after and whatnot. She's 8 and she's got autism. And boxing gives me like good flexibility. Although it's jam-packed and busy at times, it gives me flexibility where I can take her to school, pick her up from school, spend time with her, that a lot of my peers that work 9 to 5, they can't do that. Do you understand what I mean?
It's
so it
really
gives me
funny
that kind of
because
flexibility.
Tunde in here today, and we have that so much in boxing, that family resonates so much. Upbringing of children. I mean, you're the same. You go to your son, you'll rush back in after a show to take your son to football or take him to MMA. It's my children are grown up now, but where the fight sports and as a man, being close to your children and giving them the best you can give them is such a resonant thing in fight sports.
Yeah, it's a big motivational factor for a lot. I mean, everyone's got different things inside of them, but I see a common trend that, it motivates a lot of us, basically. So, that's one of my motivating factors. But, for myself, I just want to achieve. I want to look back and, like, even when I think, I won the boxer or I headlined here or I got this belt or I did this, like, or I was there on that day, like, I'm ticking off I've achieved. Do you know what I mean? I've achieved things in my life. So, that's why I'm doing it.
You come across as the type of guy that is just trying to get the best out of yourself every single day. As in, wanting to be the best version of yourself. If the consequence is that, is the English title. If the consequence is that, then the British title, then so be it. But it's a case of you at the end of this, being able to look back at yourself and going, well, I gave that everything I had.
Yeah, for sure. And that's not, I'm not limiting myself. I'm still competitive, want to be competitive with these other fighters. It's not just, winning English title. Like, I want to push on and push on and push on. But,
Ellis, we've been debating tonight about the things that the different sanctioning bodies do, and it's a kind of resonant question for you. Obviously, you'd like to be a world champion one day, and you probably will be by the sound of it. Does it help that there are 4 or maybe 5 with the TKO belt or 6 with the Ring Magazine belt? Does it help there's more than one belt in each weight division? 'Cause we were debating this earlier, and we kind of don't like the way it's being stretched at the moment.
I guess as a fighter, if you're trying to become a world champion, you have much more chance there being more belts. But I think it's harder. I mean, we could speak about the cruiserweights. You got Azerdo, you got Jai, you got Badu Jack. It's like, we want to know who's the best. They're all fighting
others
soon, and they're not fighting each other. Do you know what I mean? And that's not necessarily their fault or their issue. But as fans, I guess, or journalists, we never know who's the best. We
think we know who's the best
most of the time. But if there was like one belt, we get a definite answer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah.
But does it help you to earn more money, to buy 5 rental properties, set up your own gym if there are 4 belts as opposed to just 1?
Yeah, because I would guess so. Because I believe. And maybe the status of a world champion holds more, you get more money for fighting for a world title. And if there's more world title belts, you have more opportunity. So I guess so.
I get that. But for me, I think 1 champion per division would, 1, streamline the sport and enable it to be easily understood by the fans. And therefore, then you would get more credence for the level of fight, because people will become more educated. And I think fighters should get paid on the level of fight that they have. So that, for example, even if you fight, let's say you're fighting Jai, but he's not for a world title.
It's worth 2 houses.
I see what you're saying.
We all know what the crack
is. It should be worth 2 houses.
So you should be getting weighed in for that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I see why you feel like that. I personally don't. I'm quite neutral with it. If they have one, they have one. Like, it's not going to affect kind of how I conduct myself. If they have more, then they have more, So.
Who's the number one, obviously outside yourself, because obviously internally you believe you're the best fighter in the cruiserweight division. Who is the best out of those champions in the division?
I would say Jai. I would say Jai Patel.
He beat Zerdo, yeah? He beats Zerdo.
I think so.
David Benavidez is on his way up there, man. He's going for a look in it.
He's a problem. I don't... See, with them two, they're both kind of coming up from
super middle,
like heavy.
I was there when Zerdo won his super middleweight.
That's why I think Jai would beat them, because I guess he's a natural cruiserweight, but he still has the speed of foot, speed of hands to keep up with them guys.
Who's the best cruiserweight in the UK?
I guess the British champion. Got to say, if we want to speak in facts, it's Vidal Riley, he's British champion.
Do you beat him?
Of course. If we fight each other, yeah.
Is that a fight you want?
It's a funny story. When me and Vidal sparred, we said, we're not going to fight unless one of us is world champion. So because
you get on, do you?
Yeah, we get on. It's alloys I don't get on with. So it's alloys I want the rematch.
It's very clear tonight, by the way.
It's alloys I want the rematch. It's alloys I want the British title fight for. So yeah, but yeah, you'd have to, there's no point saying he or this person's better. Like, if he's the British champion, he's the best in Britain right now. So that's it. Yeah.
I thought you were about to say, no, of course it's me.
No, there's the British. Like, you got to answer the question properly, like, it's British champion.
You'll get there.
Well, in 2 weeks' time, English championship first.
Yeah.
Let's get that.
Yeah. And I feel like this is going to be part 2 of my career, because since losing to Jai, it's been inactivity, another loss, then obviously the alloy situation. Beating John, I get another fight guaranteed with Matchroom after. I
was going to ask, what's the promotional situation there? Because this is a Matchroom show, isn't it? No,
yeah, it's a Matchroom show. I'm not in contract with Queensbury.
You're not in contract with anybody? So therefore, the deal in this, by winning the English title, therefore you get another fight with Matchroom.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is good because they're going. Listen, they've got a lot of shows.
But this is what I'm saying. When I'm saying it's a carrot dangling, it's like it's another guaranteed, defense, or you fight for the British or whatever.
This is Christmas, mate. This is what this is.
Literally. So this is why it's an important. And this is what I've never had in my career. I guess like a okay, do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this.
Okay.
Like throughout all the success that I've had, I've never actually had a plan. I'm not knocking anyone for that, but I'm saying having this English title, then we'll do this afterwards.
Yeah.
You're fighting in so many more months. Okay.
Yeah.
Within 5 months, you're going to fight. Rather eliminator or whatever, defend the English. So yeah.
Can I get your view before you go? We've talked about Ben Whittaker already tonight.
Yeah.
Are you impressed with him?
Yeah, I am personally. I feel like
I know he's not your division.
I've always, as an amateur, I was always like impressed with him, the skill set. Obviously, there's questions to be answered, and people got to promote him and whatnot. But that division is tough, you know. Even domestically, like Craig Richards, Dan Aziz fighting a couple of days after me. People are saying, "Oh, he should go in there with them straight away."
Ezra Taylor, Willie Hutchinson,
yeah, them boys are around.
Yard, Callum Smith in with that top.
I think Callum Smith is a bit
in that top group.
Yeah, I think Callum Smith is a bit.
Bivol and Beterbiev, yeah.
And even all the other boys, to be honest, like Ben Whittaker hasn't yet. He has the ability, but he hasn't yet shown what Craig has shown, what Dan Aziz has shown, what Boazzi has shown. But he has the tools. He definitely has the tools, you know. So, but obviously people might have question marks because of the Liam Cameron situation or whatever. But he's got the tools. Yeah.
Listen, all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in to see
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Stay fit, stay healthy over the next couple of weeks, and we're looking forward to seeing you do your thing on the 17th, mate.
100%. Thank you.
Top man. There you
Cheers,
go. Ellis Dora joining us on the show, available for you on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Do stick with us. We've got lots to talk about in the final hour of the show.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. Lots to get through in the final hour of the show. We're going to give you a full debrief of everything that's just happened in Monaco. Johnny Fisher's comeback. We also had a great fight between Conor Walker and Pat McCormack. And we had the European title fight between Masood and McGrail. We'll give you the results of that. So if you don't want them spoiling, don't worry. We'll give you the heads up. Just turn the volume down maybe. But stick around for it because we're going to talk about Ronda Rousey in a moment. It's 03717 22 3344. Get in contact with the show. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. Have a little bit of a think of this as well. I don't know if you do the Spotify Wrapped or you do the YouTube Wrapped or anything like that. I've seen loads of people posting this on their social medias this week. These are the top 5 things I've been listening to this year or whatever it may be. I got one from my Apple Music this week. Oasis, standard. Pretty boring and pretty dull like that, seeing as it was a big year for them. So we're going to do a boxing Wrapped at the end of the show. Top 5 maybe fighters, top 5 fights. So have a little bit of a think about it yourselves, and we'll get stuck into it in the final part of the show. Right now, though, mate, I know that we touched upon it a little earlier on, that you are off to Miami in a couple of weeks' time for Jake Paul's escapade with Anthony Joshua. And I want to kind of tie that conversation into the news of Ronda Rousey maybe stepping into the world of boxing to take on, quite possibly, the greatest female fighter that I've ever had the privilege of watching in Katie Taylor. What do you make?
Well, exactly what I made of it when I first heard of it. Absolute poppycock.
Lovely word.
Because
it's a great word.
Because several things. Ronda Rousey's been away for 9 years.
From MMA, you're talking? She's been in WWE, hasn't she, or whatever?
But she's been away from fighting for 9 years. Yeah, she's been brilliant in WWE. It's completely different. She got hammered by Amanda Nunes and beaten by Holly Holm. She ended broken as a fighter. She's become a mother since. She's known for the arm bar, not the knockout uppercut or overhand right or the heavy jab. She's got an okay jab. It just did not resonate or make the goosebumps on my arms go up. Even when Katie Taylor, if we can mention the WBC convention again, at the WBC convention said, yes, I've heard about it. And if she wants to fight me, I've always said I want the big fights, the crossover fights. Then yes, I'll take it. It doesn't work. Yes, eyeballs would watch it, but it doesn't work as a boxing match because of the lack of skills of Ronda in terms of stand-up fighting, and secondarily, she's been away far too long.
I've got two thoughts on it. The first thought is anybody that has listened to Ronda Rousey recently, and she's been on a world tour promoting her book, anybody that's listened to her recently will have heard her talk about the extensive concussions that she has suffered at the hands of fight sports, and that she still suffers them now. If this is the case, and this is true to be, she shouldn't be anywhere near a boxing ring. Not a competitive one, especially against the best female fighter that I've personally ever watched. She shouldn't even be in sparring. She shouldn't be anywhere near getting punched in the head. So that's point number one. Point number two, Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua is more competitive than Ronda Rousey fighting Katie Taylor. I never thought I'd have to say that sentence, but it feels that it is needed in this particular moment. I don't think that Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is competitive in any way, stretch of the imagination. Ronda Rousey would get beat off her own shadow boxing. She is not a stand-up fighter.
Correct. 11 years ago, I went to see her in Bulgaria filming The Expendables. She was being hung up. When I turned up, she was in Expendables 3 with Mel Gibson and all these other great...
Yeah, I remember the film. She was fantastic in it.
She was, and I went to interview her because she was in the height of her pomp at that time in MMA. She'd revolutionised, she shifted the paradigm in terms of Dana White now believing with the UFC that you could have women's boxing, women's MMA in what was considered to be a male enclave. And as you know, I was deeply involved in it at the time. I met Ronda when she was coming through. She was extraordinary. I met her that day in Bulgaria, and just after she'd been hung up by Mel Gibson and beaten by chains in the acting. And we sat in her hospitality caravette in a beaten-up old car, and I did a podcast with her, and she could have conquered the world. And at that time, I remember saying about Katie Taylor that she should be turning pro straight away and having the biggest crossover fights. If she had stepped in a ring with Katie Taylor in 2014... when Katie Taylor was that first ever Olympic champion, they could have sold out Croke Park for it.
I agree.
Then
it still wouldn't have been competitive.
No, it wouldn't have been competitive. But she believed in herself then. She had a physicality then. They could have done an MMA fight and a boxing match or whatever they wanted to do, because those were the two biggest female stars in the world at the time in sport.
Listen,
what I'm saying is it worked 10 years ago. It wouldn't work now.
No, I agree with everything you just said. And from what I've just said about Ronda Rousey's ability as a stand-up fighter, I don't want that to be taken away from her being the most important female fighter that I think mixed martial arts and maybe even fighting in general needed.
And how quickly has that been forgotten?
She was the catalyst. She banged the door and blazed the trail for everything that we're experiencing now. Absolutely an icon, sensational. But she's not a stand-up fighter. So to put her in a boxing ring with Katie Taylor would be an absolute ridiculous situation to find ourselves in, which kind of leads us on to talk about what we're going to be experiencing in 2 weeks' time. You're going to be out there for this.
Mm-hmm. Even though Eddie Hearn tried to ban me originally.
Has he?
Well, no, he said, because I wrote a column saying that Anthony Joshua could damage his legacy and it could be demeaning for boxing.
It can damage his legacy.
I know, and it can be demeaning for boxing because I don't... In this country, and I spoke to Robert Smith and the Boxing Board of Control about this and spoke to others, it would never have been sanctioned in this country. It could have been done as an unlicensed bout, yes, of course, but it's been sanctioned by Florida, one of the most lenient commissions in the world, because they know if it resonates and it makes money, they'll allow it. Eddie said at the time, if you feel like that, why should you get a credential for the event? When I went over to the press conference a couple of weeks ago, I was out there for Bare Knuckle, which we're going to speak about later, but I was out there at BKB 48 in Miami, and I happened to be there. Nikita Bidarian took me up, Jake Paul's manager, took me up on the fact that I said the same things that I said in a second column, that we have to be very careful sanctioning these kind of bouts because we don't know what's going to happen. You just said Jake Paul's got more opportunity of beating Anthony Joshua than Ronda Rousey would ever have against Katie Taylor, and I agree with that.
But and I don't think he's got a chance.
It's a very dangerous fight for him, in my view.
For Jake Paul?
Dangerous.
Massively dangerous.
In spite of the fact that people tell themselves, but Anthony's had a suspect chin at times. Does he really believe in himself? When I went over there, Joshua was taking to that event like with a relish.
I'll tell you what this fight is. This is basically, everybody's done this when you've been in the schoolyard, right? And you had a chat with your mates and they say to you, what would you do for 10 million quid? What would you do for 50 million quid? For 100 million quid, would you get in with the heavyweight champion of the world and then whack you in the face? That's basically what this is for Jake Paul.
I spoke to David Hay about this. I've got an interview going out with him. I think he's working on the broadcast team out there. There's an interview going out with him in the newspaper in a couple of days' time. And he said, without even thinking about it, and I think Joshua's earning 25 million. And at the time, when I spoke to David, I think there was talk of 140 million for this fight. So Joshua was getting 70 million. My understanding, it's 25 million. Even then, he said, David Hay said, you wouldn't even think about it in his position.
Let's do it.
You would say yes without even giving it any consideration whatsoever.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were asked to tile one tile on a roof, to put one tile on a roof, and you're getting 100 grand for it, you're not going to say no, are you?
No.
Even if you don't know how to tile the roof, you're going to know how to tile the roof by the time you get up there. When I saw Anthony Joshua over there, a part of me was genuinely fearing for Jake Paul because he doesn't realise what he's in.
No, I
for.
don't think he does. And I don't think anybody
genuinely
around
don't
him
think
knows.
He realises what he's in.
And this is the thing that I've had a problem with. People diminish and dilute the ability of these fighters. There is a lifetime's worth of work that goes into what they achieved. Olympic gold medal. That's a serious bit of business. 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. Okay, you might poke holes in it. You might think this was navigated and this only happened because of X, Y, and Z. He still did it. He's still been at the top level. As a British fighter, in this era, he's been in the most amount of heavyweight world title fights. More than Fury, more than Usyk. He's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt. If he lands on this lad
I know.
and hurts him, boxing gets dragged through the mud. Firstly, I hope Anthony Joshua does demolish him. I really do. But then I hope that Jake Paul gets up and there's no lasting damage.
Yeah.
And we can all move on in different directions.
The other thing about Joshua as well, and I don't think people give him enough credit for this, is he's not a guy who's beaten till you knock him out. Because he got up against Andy Ruiz, he got up against Daniel Dubois. He's always fighting back. He's not a guy that can go in there and fiddle about. He's going to go in there, hit him with a ramrod jab, pivot, and land a left hook or a straight.
He's just going to do what he did against Ngannou, man.
I was going to go on to that because you picture that right hand that started in the east and landed in the west, all the way on Ngannou's chin and left a guy who'd never been knocked out in mixed martial arts.
Who knows how to handle himself.
No, and who's a huge puncher. Yes, a different style. He's coming forward to take your head off.
Yeah.
If Anthony Joshua doesn't get this job done inside 2 rounds, he may get pilloried if Jake Paul goes 3 or 4
He will
rounds.
100% get pilloried. He has to flatten him in 6 minutes. I can completely allow Anthony Joshua to go in and have a laugh with him for 3 minutes. Just to go on, then tee off if you want. Go on, do what you need to do. There's a jab for you. Right, okay. The minute the second round starts, he comes out and he knocks him out. That's it. That's what he has to do. If he doesn't, it's going to be painful for him.
And yet, saying all of this, I work for a certain betting agent, William Hill. They're telling me that
There's no way Jake Paul's a betting favourite for this. No way.
No. There's more money on this fight than any other fight this year so far.
Do you know? I'm not surprised. Do you know why?
And most of the money's on Jake Paul. Yeah.
Well, what's the odds on him? Like 10 to 1?
Good.
Ridiculous odds.
But Joshua is nailed down to win this. I give Jake Paul 1 in 1,000 chance. Maybe me. Do you give him 1 in 1,000 chance?
If he swings like a Hail Mary.
And clips Joshua, who breaks an ankle, maybe, and can't get back.
You're coming up with loads of different caveats to the story.
But it's
a circus.
It's also trending to be the most watched fight of the year as well. And it is, for some reason, it's just enormous.
Do you know what the frightening thing is? And I'll finish on this, and people will say, now you're talking absolute nonsense, but I think this is a fact. Jake Paul is the biggest name in boxing.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
He's the biggest name in boxing.
He is the biggest name.
He'll generate the most amount of eyeballs. He generates the most amount of money, and that is why everybody's gravitating to go to the circus. It's fight night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Gareth Davies is alongside me. Time to have a little bit of a nosy in at what happened in Monte Carlo this evening. The black ties were out, the tuxedos were all over the place, everybody knocking about, giving a little bit of James Bond, weren't they? And in the ring, we had Conor Walker taking on Pat McCormack. Shabazz Masood took on Peter McGrail for the European title. Beatriz Ferreira was also in action against Elif Nur-Turan. And you had the return of Johnny Fisher as well. It was an action-packed night, let me tell you. First and foremost, we'll go right to the start of this because Johnny Fisher made his comeback after the defeat to Dave Allen. He was taking on Ivan Balats, an undefeated fighter through 7 fights. Heavy hitting, but hadn't beaten anybody of any real note. And with all due respect, this was
Undefeated, though.
Yeah, he was undefeated, but it was supposed to be a little bit of a comeback knock for Johnny, a little bit of a celebration. Go on, mate, go and get yourself a victory and let's get this train back on the tracks. Then, first round, Johnny Fisher gets clipped and he's all over the place, like Bambi on ice, absolutely dancing all over the gaff. The referee, for some reason, didn't call it a knockdown, he called it a slip. Second round, Johnny throws in an intentional foul, and therefore has a point deducted. So therefore loses that second round 10-8 on there as well. And then he ends up getting back into the fight by getting back onto his boxing after his legs got back underneath him and ended up stopping Balats in the fourth round. 3 knockdowns in that fourth round with the referee waving it off. Helter Skelter, Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Yes, it was entertaining, but this level of opponent, this should not be happening.
Well, at the risk of upsetting anyone, I've watched the. Obviously, we were about to come on air. I haven't watched the entire fight, but I watched the beginning of it. I agree with you. The referee should have counted a knockdown, but interpreted it as a push because Johnny was in trouble. But what I did recall from that first round was he got caught on the inside again, like he did against Dave Allen, in a flurry of punches, and suddenly lost his balance. And I really do think early in a fight, he's got to get behind his jab and work his way into the bouts. Obviously, against Dave Allen, he chose the wrong tactics in the second fight, but it's worrying for him because people are now going to say, what level? Look, obviously, he's come out of the win. He's caused drama and excitement again.
Yeah.
But he's exposed an element of vulnerability again early in a fight. And he wants to win the British title. He's proud of his area title. He will want to win the English title. You look at the other guys around, Fraser Clark, David Adelaide, Jamie TKV, these kind of guys, Solomon Dakers. If he's going to fight these guys, there's still a level between where he is now and where they are. Yeah. So, you know,
there's a long way to go.
He's got a following. He's very popular. He's tremendously entertaining. He's a great character. He's got massive cojones.
Yeah,
you know, but there's a concern about, obviously he's with Tony Sims now as a brilliant trainer. There's a concern about what's going wrong for him.
He's got the thing that you can't teach. He has got a massive set of stones. He's up for a fight, and he stayed in it this time around in order to get the job done in the fourth round. He came through and got the victory.
And he's a name, unfortunately. He's a name, so he's a target for everyone. Yeah. He is a name already.
Yeah. He has got that popularity. Listen, I just wanted to highlight the level of it. People have this expectation that he's going to be a British champion or he's going to be this. I think if he gets to that level, he will have exceeded a lot of expectation. There's a long way to go. There's levels, obviously, to get through before he starts even contemplating fighting guys that are in and around that English and British level. Lot to work on. But ultimately, he got the victory tonight, so congratulations to him.
Exactly.
Beatriz Ferreira, one of the most dominant champions in world female boxing, was stopped. She was beaten this evening by Elif Nur-Turan. She was dropped on 2 occasions as well, so she's come out losing her world titles. And the 2 fights that I just wanted to highlight, one of which I've not seen, so I'm not going to go too deep on the European title fight. I'm looking forward at the end of the show to nipping home and watching this in its entirety because I've no doubt that it was a cracker between Shabazz Masood and Peter McGrail. Shabazz Masood has had his hand raised via a unanimous points decision. I'm going to have a look at that and give you a full synopsis of it. But one fight that you absolutely should be going to look at is Conor Walker versus Pat McCormack. This was absolutely fantastic, a contender for Fight of the Year. We kind of touched upon it a little earlier on the show, but Conor Walker is one of those fighters that just keeps finding a way.
He's a spoiler.
He did it against Harry Scarf, found it in the 11th round there. Last time out against Liam Davies, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And this time, Pat McCormack, it was supposed to be his moment. Silver medalist at the Olympic Games. Big step up for him, don't get me wrong. But the skills were supposed to pay the bills on this particular fight. And for large percentages of it, they did. On my scorecard, going into the 12th round, I had Pat McCormack up by at least 2 rounds. And therefore, Conor Walker, who was turning up the heat, he was chasing him down. He was absolutely fantastic. He had to try in some way, shape or form stop Pat McCormack, and he ended up doing it. Now, that wasn't the official scorecards. The official scorecards had Conor Walker up on 2 with Pat McCormack up on 1. But he ended up getting the stoppage in the final minute of the final round, knocking Pat McCormack through the ropes, Pat McCormack not being able to continue. His first professional defeat. A sensational victory for Conor Walker. And do you know something? If they go and make the rematch with Lewis Crocker now for him, I have no problem with it, mate. No problem. I know that might be a stretch, but sometimes you've just got to go for it. And I think that Conor Walker right now is red hot. Why not give him an opportunity?
Yeah, I agree with you. That McCormack was ahead by a couple of rounds.
On mine, I think officially Conor Walker was
Sorry, Conor Walker was ahead by a couple of rounds, so I'm just looking at the scorecards here. The danger is after 8 fights, and you talk to Ben, you will have talked to Ben Davis, and you've been to the Performance Centre in Harlow many times, I'm sure. Ben talked about Pat, who's a twin, of course, Olympic silver medalist, as you mentioned, are so talented, arguably one of the most talented guys all round. Power, poise, presence, timing, footwork, work ethic that he's ever worked with. And you think about who he's worked with, you know, it will be for Pat a terrible moment, an emotional moment, especially being stopped. But it will also be a moment that he takes the loss as a learn because he's got a lot about him.
Yeah.
And this will be the moment. This could be the making of him.
I think it will.
I can hear Spencer Oliver saying that in my ear right now. This will be the making of him, and I hope it is. But you come up against certain people like Conor Walker, and they got warrior built inside them, and they are put on earth to spoil other people's plans, in a good way, I mean. So congratulations to him tonight, because he wasn't meant to win when they went to Monaco with the black tie and the blood on the notebooks tonight.
No, listen, I agree regarding the Pat McCormack learning. Because, like I said, I watched it, there's a lot of positives. And he's got into the 12th round, and I personally got him ahead. He's just got overwhelmed by a guy that just showed some serious heart, guts and determination.
Johnny Nelson lost his first 3 fights. Bernard Hopkins lost his first fight. And Bernard Hopkins, who I saw a couple of weeks ago, looks in fine fettle at 56 or whatever he is, 58 now. 54-year-old world champion, wasn't he? Or 48-year-old world champion. I can't remember the exact age. The oldest world champion in history. So it doesn't mean it's over.
No.
But it will be back to the drawing board from here and working through. Maybe the mistake is putting him in against someone as experienced as this over a 12-round fight.
Yeah.
For, what was it? It was an intercontinental. It was an intercontinental title. It was trying to build him in that process we've been talking about tonight. That takes him to the next level.
He learns, man. He learns. He's with good people. He'll learn a lot from that experience. But congratulations, Conor Walker. What a performance and what a finish to the fight that was. Like I said, I'll give you a full synopsis of the Masood McGrail fight. Hopefully it lived up to my pre-fight expectations. It's just finished, by the way, with Masood getting the victory over McGrail. I'm going to get a bit of an education next, because you were at the Bare Knuckle last night, weren't you?
Still covered in blood, brother.
Are you? Right, okay then. I'm going to get an education on a bit of Bare Knuckle boxing. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
doesn't love the Ryder Cup, the competition that ignites and unites the greats of golf like no other? 1927 brought us the very first edition at the Worcester Country Club in Massachusetts. For the first 22 editions, when it was just British and Irish golfers versus the US, America were only beaten 3 times. But in 1979, in came Europe, and in came Seve Ballesteros, who went on to win 5 of them. Since Team
Cardiff?
We were in Cardiff. Yeah, we're in the Vale.
You went home?
We went home back to the land of my fathers, back to the valleys. Yeah, no, it was an amazing night. BKB 49. Liam Reese against Rolando D, a Filipino guy, was in the UFC. He had 5 fights in the UFC. He took the title last night, the super welterweight title, in the final fight of the night. I think we had 11 fights. I was covered in claret doing the post-fight interviews, wearing black, of course, because there really is a lot of claret in bare knuckle. BKB is growing inordinately. When Paulie Malignaggi fought Tyler Goodjohn in Leeds, what was that, 7 weeks ago, 200,000 views on the talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel watching that live. 200,000 viewers we had for that event. Just shows how big it's the most watched event, actual event, not a watch-along, on the YouTube channel ever. For a live event. So it's an amazing fact, and I think it's like if you've got Test cricket, this is like T20 for boxing.
Well, let me ask you something, right? You were there right at the start of MMA when it had its detractors, when you had people that said that it was too brutal and that maybe there was a lack of education.
20 years ago, yeah,
you were there. So and you're here now for this. Compare them. What are the differences? What are the similarities?
The similarities are, this is how excited I was about MMA 20 years ago, and people saying in boxing, oh, you've gone over to the dark side. And the similarity is, that's a similarity in terms of how much excitement and thrill it makes me feel. And I want to do it for the fighters. I want them to earn more. I want them to get more projection. I want it to be a bigger sport. The other thing, and it's also a similarity, is at the time, and you'd never think it now, the paradigm shift was about changing perception and getting eyes on the sport, humanising the fighters, telling their stories, creating a narrative, knowing that it's good. It's a great business to be in for these people, that people are born to do this, that they have that warrior soul and warrior spirit in them. I mean, one of the young kids last night, I think we're going to get on in a minute, Yestin Edwards. His brother Reese is 19-1 with Matchroom, I think it is. A very, very, very fine boxer. Both boys from the village my father was born and grew up in as well, in the Rhondda Valley. That I got to interview Stiffy afterwards. Yestin,
I beg your pardon, who?
I got to interview Yestin Stiffy. I think we got him on the line.
Is that the nickname?
It was a great night last night. This thing is going to grow and grow. It's 3 similarities, really. I think this thing is destined to grow and grow and grow.
Yestin, welcome to the show, mate.
What's happening, boys? You good?
Very well indeed, mate. Thank you very much for giving up a bit of time to come and join us, pal.
It's all right, lads.
That was your debut in the BKB last night, yeah?
Yeah, my debut, yeah.
Right. Gareth's just been giving me a little bit of a synopsis of 1, the night, and 2, how it's making him feel compared to the MMA of 20 years ago, mate. Tell me why a young man like yourself, obviously who's extremely talented in fight sports, has opted to go down the route of bare knuckle.
I just done it for different, but one of the best things I ever done. They made me feel like a complete superstar all week, and it was the best time of my life so far.
Do you think this is going to be the path now for you for the immediate future? You're going to stay within bare knuckle, or would you cross back over? Like, obviously, Gareth just mentioned your brother there, who's doing extremely well in the gloved aspect of this game. Is that something that you're looking at, or are you staying where you are right now?
To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. I'm just gonna take everything as it comes at the minute. I haven't signed no contract yet, but I can imagine BKB sending a contract out within the next couple of days for me to look over. But I'm not too sure. This BKB game is rough. I'm too pretty to be coming home like this after every fight.
You had so much adrenaline when I interviewed you after the fight. Here you are last night. You took a battering early on from him, didn't you? And you had to come back from that.
I didn't know I was that tough, to be honest, Gareth.
Go on, talk us through this a little bit. Come on, what are you going through here?
Well, I went out first thinking I knew he was going to come out swinging like a madman because that's how he fights. But I wasn't expecting to get tagged so many times. I thought my movement would have been there. I thought I would have slipped out the way of them, but I was moving into them, if anything. But once I found my range, my timing, my
Here we
feet,
go. This is it.
Ooh.
Lovely little slip and sliding underneath there.
Slip into 3-bar. Oh, hold them.
Do you know my observations of this, right? And this I want to highlight this for people that automatically think, and I remember these.
I'm Paulie man actually called that low. That was not low.
A lot of people, when we started banging the drum for MMA years and years ago, and I think it's come from there you go, great shot. Little miseducation where people thought this is brutal. It's for this type of person. It's for this type of audience. It's X, Y, and Z. Whereas I'm watching this now, and it's quite evident there's a lot of skill on this. If you know what you're watching when it comes down to striking, there is an incredible amount of skill on display. This is not just two lads swinging, you know what I mean, like in the car park at Wetherspoons, man. There's a lot of high level technicalities of what you were dishing out there. It's just that the risk factor is a lot higher because, of course, without the gloves on, mate, you're going to be prone to more aesthetic injuries like cuts and bruises and all these types of things.
Yeah, of course. First cut ever in my life. It was a bit of a mental feeling, to be honest, but I enjoyed it.
The weird thing is, Justin, as well, which is, I've been involved in it for a couple of years now at BKB and, in the talent team, the commentary team and the interviews, that there is a completely different skill set involved in terms of where you're punching with the knuckles, where you hit the head of your opponent, how you protect yourself, the defensive capabilities, your chin being hit in a different way by knuckles. It's a completely different martial art, isn't it?
Yeah, it is like I said, all fight week is boxing, but it's not boxing. It's brutal old game. But yeah, it's not like the punches don't hurt anymore or any less. It's just everything makes you fucking bleed. It's like getting it with a meat cleaver.
The funny thing is, we sometimes call it ungloved boxing at the moment because we're trying to shift that perception rather than bare knuckle. Yeah. And the other side to it is that it's so visceral. We call it the older sport, and yet it's the newer sport. And facts are showing at the moment that it's the fastest growing combat sport in the world. Are you... Last night, high on adrenaline, you gave several interviews to myself and Daniel Moyne.
Yeah.
You said you're coming here not to take part, but to take over last night.
Yes, sir.
You're here to stay?
Yeah, I think I'm here to stay, to be honest, Gareth. I think I'm well suited to the franchise, to the game. I think I impressed both on the mic and in the fight. Yeah, I can see myself with a future with the BKB.
Destin, listen, thank you very much for giving up a bit of time, mate. Enjoy your Sunday roast and a pint tomorrow, pal, and then you get yourself back in the gym and get it cracking again, all right, mate?
Yeah, sorted. Cheers, Adam, lad.
Top man.
Cheers, Justin.
Listen, it's fascinating. By the way, just a quick one there. Obviously, we've got a young man there that is still high on adrenaline after a fantastic victory last night, so I apologise if any choice language did slip out during the conversation and you were offended by that, but he's talking about the fight game at the end of the day. I'm fascinated by it, and I need to attend one of these. I need to come and attend it because you can see, one, like I just said there, watching him on screen, there's an awful lot of skill on show there. I bet the atmosphere was absolutely crackers.
No, they love a fight in Wales, and the Vale is the Vale.
Yeah, but anywhere that's entertaining.
Well, the thing is that I've done 3 or 4 events there now, and that it's a hotbed. The Valleys is a hotbed for MMA and more MMA and bare knuckle more than it is for boxing. Yeah. And obviously, Enzo Maccarinelli was there last night. Cage side.
He loves MMA. He's all in. He's training a few bare knuckle boys, isn't he?
And his son is developing as he reckons will be a heavyweight. He's only 15. Joe Calzaghe had the grandkids last night and was disappointed he couldn't get down. Liam Williams was there. They're all there. It's a community. But I think I think what's going to happen, Adam, I mean, I've been banging the drum for it for a couple of years, as you know, and you're right to make the comparison with mixed martial arts, because it really reminds me of that time 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Even now, boxing purists are saying we shouldn't be doing bare knuckle. It's a sport that suits certain people. Because of social media, because of streaming today, we're more inured to these things happening, and the time is now, and I think it really will. Once it finds the right platforms, once it finds the right resonance, once there are enough eyeballs on it, it will be exactly like the UFC grew, in my view, and it will grow very big. It's not for everyone, but those people that go to it, you'll find it very, very addictive. That's what I did. I did half a night's commentary before our show one night 2 years ago, and it's not I didn't want to come here and do our show, but I didn't want to leave it.
Stick with us. We're going to finish the show by talking about a little bit of a rap. Not as in like going off Notorious B.I.G. on everybody. We're going to wrap up the year. For example, like Spotify have done this year. What are the top 5 fighters? What are the top 5 fights? We're going to get stuck into that in a moment. Now then, if you've been posting your Spotify rap this week or your YouTube raps or whatever it may be, which identifies your content consumption habits throughout the course of the year, I think it's only fair that we have boxing wrapped on the show. So we'll finish with top 5 boxers of 2025. Maybe personal choice, not necessarily an absolutely nailed-on list, just personal choice. And top 5 fights, favourite fights of 2025. I'd think about it yourself, get stuck into it on social media. I'm going to be honest. When I was thinking about this, I was a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah.
With the year of 2025, I think there's been some good performances. There's been some highlight moments. But when I think of all the fighters that you would have a conversation about of being the fighter of the year, most of them only fought once. There's not been multiple fights from the top people. So there's a couple of names that I'm going to chuck into this conversation that have only got there really because they've had 2 good performances. I mean, that's pretty poor to be stating that, especially when tonight in the world of MMA, the bantamweight champion's having his 4th defence of his championship. And when I think about fights, there's been some all right ones. There's been some all right ones. I wouldn't say there's been some absolute wow, but there's been some okay ones. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you want me to start? With fights first? I'll go fights
Are you doing them in order as well?
I'm just going to throw them out there. No.
Have you
go on then. I'll give you an order.
I've got one that I think I'm going to pick as my fight of the year. So
yeah,
but
I think were we in attendance to it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So for me, the best fight. Oh, is it the best fight I've seen this year? There's 2 best fights, right? One for technicalities, one for just pure entertainment.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. My technicalities, where I was sat there just in awe of 2 gentlemen doing their thing, is Beterbiev Bivol 2. And the entertainment one is Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the first one up at Tottenham. I thought it was.
Which is your leading one?
From an entertainment point of view, I'd say Eubank Jr. and Benn.
Well, I'm the other way around. I've gone
from an entertainment point of view.
No, just because I was in awe of what the guys produced in that
they were
second fight,
sensational,
and the changes and adaptations that Dimitri Bivol made, having been thrilled by the first fight the year before.
He was just as good the second time round.
Yeah, but Ben, for atmosphere in a stadium,
there's nothing better than what we.
I think that was the best. Ben and Eubank was just. It will live very, very long in the memory.
Yeah. On my wrapped for 5, I've got Smith and Boazzi. I thought it was sensational. I've actually got a fight from last week. Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes I thought were absolutely awesome.
Great call.
So I'm putting that in my wrapped. And I'm also going to do Joseph Parker and Fabio Woodley. I also thought that were ace. Fabio Woodley beating Joseph Parker.
It had a lot of drama.
It did. And so there would be my 5. Is there anything that you want to add to that? Have you got anything else
I've got Boazzi Smith in there. It was because it was an incredible, even though Smith won
8-4 maybe.
Well, I had it 6-6 on my card. I know. I mean, I've got to be honest about it because I did, because there were some very close rounds that were swinging. All the highlights in my head, I keep saying this, were Callum.
Yeah.
But when I looked at my card, it was an incredible back and forth.
It was great.
Battle. I thought it was the best performance I've ever seen Callum Smith in, and it got the very best out of Joshua.
I agree.
Boazzi.
Great fight.
2 other fights: Isaac Cruz and Angel Fierro.
Yeah, great fight.
Terrific 10-round fight.
It was a great fight.
Back and forth war, toe-to-toe war, which you'd expect from those 2. And Noya Nui against Ramon Cardenas.
Oh, right. Well, that's beautiful that you brought that up, right? Because it was a fantastic fight. And listen, when we're talking about the fighters...
Go in reverse order.
I think Inouye's the fighter of the year.
No, you go in reverse... Okay.
Oh, sorry.
You spoilt my Christmas now.
Sorry, mate.
And a Merry Fistmas to you too.
Well, there's 2 people in this conversation. Noya Inoue, for me, is the fighter of the year because he's beaten Cardenas in that fantastic fight that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
And he beat MJ. Akhmed Dalayev, where everybody was saying, this is a really tight fight. And he was absolutely fantastic.
Well, Eddie Hearn saying he'd avoided him for however long. Absolute nonsense, Mr. Hearn.
He was awesome. And he's also fighting at the end of the year against Picasso. So, as a champion that's put 3 fights in, 2 of them absolute barnstormers, listen, sensational. So, Inoue will be my guy. But the guy that ran him close is Fabio Wardley. Because his performance against Honey, when he pulls it off in the last minute and does his thing, was sensational, and he beats Joseph Parker. And he's gone from white collar to world champion. He deserves his accolades and his flowers, so fair play to the lad.
I mean it in a kind way. No, I'm not giving it to Houdini Wardley. I'm giving it to Terence Crawford.
1 fight, but it was brilliant.
But because of the way he beat Saul Canelo, I'm putting him as my number 1. Noya Nui 2. Bam Rodriguez 3, Shaka Stevenson for the performance against William Zepeda, and Devin Haney for what he did against Brian Norman in Riyadh just recently, because he's put himself back up there in my view. What I like about him is everyone's criticising him because he doesn't want to do a toe-to-toe war. Put him down early and proved how brilliant he can be, and I cannot wait to see what Haney's capable of in 2026.
Special mention, Usyk and Katie
Of course.
Taylor. Katie Taylor's performance against Amanda Serrano was absolutely superb. And Jazza Dickens, well done, son. Zelfa Barrett and Batur Gaziev, awesome performances. Listen, that's us done for today. Get your wraps in.